Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Signed the Traitors. We are Traitors US recap podcast brought to you by Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. We are here today to talk about episodes 3 and 4 of the Traitors US that just came out on Peacock this week. I am here with my co-hosts, Kari and Javier, and I am Katie. How are you guys today? Long time no see.
I know. It actually has felt like a long time.
I know. We've seen a lot of each other this week.
Yep.
It's true. And there's still more to come.
There is a lot more to come. How did you guys feel about episodes 3 and 4? I know we had a meaty conversation yesterday about, was that yesterday? Yes. About episodes 1 and 2. What did you guys think about 3 and 4? Did they hold up to 1 and 2? Were they better? Were they worse? What did you think?
Well, I'm personally holding a funeral over here because
same.
My draft team is hanging by the lifeline that is Suri. And literally everybody else on my great lifeline. But otherwise, this is why I don't do fantasy sports. This is the first draft I've ever participated in because I politely hate them. And this has only reinforced it because it's like I am cheering for what now? To not be because I also hate losing. So that's the other thing. And right now I'm just very close to losing, and I don't need Isaiah in my fucking notifications, I just don't need that. So besides that, I thought these were solid episodes. My favorite challenge happened, which I was excited about.
I was thinking of you when I saw it.
Yes, I love that challenge. But overall, I have some things to say, some thoughts, but I'm content right now. I'm content.
Okay. I take content. Javier, what about you? How are you feeling now that we're a few more episodes in?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I remember yesterday I was saying the episode 1 was a little slow for me. Things have been moving pretty well for these 2 episodes. I do also have a lot of thoughts about just gameplay and my reservations for this cast. About how they're playing, but I guess we'll get to that later on because
definitely.
But no, I'm really enjoying it overall. It's good.
Yeah, I have a lot of gameplay thoughts as well. A lot of them. I'm really surprised at, I think, the route this season in this show and how everybody's deciding to play. I'm just surprised at the direction we're going. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about episode 3. Yeah.
Did you just drop a note out of your skirt?
Wait, how did you see that? I'm just doing it to mess with you. I'm just trying to cause chaos.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just wondering, because it looks like that might be your murder list, and having Javier and my name on it, if you want a monologue, just monologue. Oh my god, this is actually the best news of my day. I'm so sorry to derail.
Wait, everything. Don't spoil, just in case.
That's not.
Some people don't like cast spoilers.
Okay, if you don't like cast spoilers, then don't look at YouTube and skip the next 30 seconds.
Just to be sensitive. This
is for All Stars Challenge 4.
Yeah.
Listen, I've already had my life.
It is good news.
Spoilers.
It is good news.
It's great news. It's great news.
Very good news.
So now skip over the next 30 seconds. All Star Challenge 4. The fact that we are getting Cam back on our television.
Oh my god, different pot. Let's talk about it tomorrow.
No, but that's all I wanted to say. I'm so happy. Okay, bye.
Sorry, challenge people if you don't like cast spoilers and like to be surprised. Carrie said politely, "Fuck you, I don't care."
I said to skip forward.
No, it's true. It's true.
You know, if you don't know how the skip works at this point, but it's great news. It had to be shared.
To diverge a slight bit into the challenge, if you are into cast spoilers, you should look up at the All Stars cast for season 4, because if you truly like OG challengers, there's a lot of them, or OG real worlders. It's a great list. So you'll be happy. Really good news.
Last thing I'm gonna say about the challenge. Yesterday you said if I could come back for All Stars 4. I love all the All Star seasons. I will be back if you guys do TJ's spoilers for it.
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, we love.
Very excited for the cast. So.
We love All Star season.
Yeah.
Okay, episode 4. Yeah, the Episode 3, sorry. We come back and we're talking about who's going to be executed. And they're really debating over Brandy and Michael. We pick up where episode 2 left off. They're like, oh, maybe Brandy, maybe Michael. This could be a really good idea. There's a lot of people who have suspicion on them. It could throw suspicion off of us, blah, blah, blah. But then, the conversation turns and they're kind of like, well, maybe we could do someone else, like Bam. And Christian gives my least favorite reality TV trope of all time. And they do it, speaking of the challenge, all the time, is this person is my best friend.
Yeah.
When he literally met him 24 hours ago. 24
I love him like
hours
a brother.
ago. I love him like a brother. No, you don't, sir. You just met this man. You literally just met this man.
No, I fully agree. I like, in all caps, I wrote in my notes, not Christian crying. First of all, you murdered him.
Yeah.
Why are you losing your shit over someone who you could have saved? Right. And you've known him for 3 whole days, bro. Like, take it easy, relax. And it's just, again, Christian being extra. But yeah, I was very annoyed because I also hate that trope of people, like, especially if you send someone home. Like, same thing like in Big Brother, you send your allies home. I'm like, brother, what are you mad about? Like, you did this.
You have a voice. Stand up there and say you don't want to do it if you don't want to do it. Instead of saying he's like a brother to me. I literally just met him. He's my brother. It doesn't make any sense. We both wear beanies. We're the Beanie Bros. I can't.
Justice for Bam. Gone too soon.
Yeah. Gone way too soon. I liked Bam. From the very little we saw.
I was going to say from the one line he spoke in the first 2 episodes. But
he seemed like he was a normal dude. He could have been, I don't know. I liked him. What do you guys think about this decision? Do you feel like this was a good game decision?
No.
Yeah. Tell me why.
And here's why. Because they went against what I said yesterday on the podcast, and I like to be right. But more so is the idea that I get not creating a pattern, but something that I actually hadn't really thought of and connected myself until it was mentioned in these 2 episodes is, while they're not seeing a pattern now, I do think that like once they get one of the traitors, that the pattern is going to be very detectable. And so like the lack of a pattern is a pattern, I guess, where I feel like with how we have 10 people who know each other and 10 people who don't, and I say know each other lightly, obviously, like to an extent, that I think that by taking out an unknown entity is just not smart. Like, what did anybody know about Bam? Truly. Right. Where if I'm a traitor, and I said this yesterday, although I still don't understand how people don't think Kate is faithful. Like, yeah, this whole note thing, whatever. But
yeah, I can't wait to talk about this. But yeah, go ahead.
But to me, Brandy and Kate seem like 2 of the most faithful of everybody, like both celebrities with air quotes and civilians. And so to not take out a definitive faithful, like I get they somehow got Brandy banished which is also just confusing to like the I don't know. It seems like any sort of real logic or strategy that would happen in a lot of these games is just like the opposite is being used. So it's hard for me to like 100% disagree because I feel like whatever I would do, I should just think the opposite, and that's actually what's going to happen.
No, I completely agree with you. I am so confused at how we got to the point that we're at. And these people that are on the show are supposed to be some of these like all-star reality TV, great Survivor players, great Big Brother players. And Survivor and Big Brother players, specifically Stephanie and Rachel, are making the most baffling conclusions and decisions out of anybody else on the show. And I'm just very confused at how, aside from some of the civilians, but like, we don't have a track record for them. We don't really know, how their minds work or whatever. It's confusing. It's really confusing to me.
Personally, I am going to disagree. And I think that was the right play.
Okay.
And I think that's what I was talking about yesterday, where like taking out Brandy right now just would have been too obvious in my opinion. And I think that's the route they went. And unfortunately, I do have to give Cauliflower props because they made it seem like it was his idea to banish Bam. And he is giving strategy because that's the same strategy I would have gone with. So it's unfortunate that Bam had to go, but I do think that was the right play and as we see play out in the next 2 episodes, it seems like it was the right play.
I mean, it caused chaos.
Anyways. Yeah, it causes chaos. They ended up getting Brandy out anyways. And for some reason, no one is still not clocking these three. So I do think it was the right move to get Bam out now.
Yeah, I don't really have too much of an issue with the Bam decision. I think what I think makes the most sense for the Traitors is to get rid of people like a Bam and an Azar where there's no clear reason as to why they would, it doesn't tie them to anything, So I'm not mad about that. I just think the rest, like how it plays out after with everyone else that's not a traitor, it's just truly baffling. So let's talk about the breakfast. So Kate comes in. We know Kate is safe. Brandy is the last one in. And as everybody's waiting for Brandy or Bam to come back, the conversation starts to happen around like, oh, who do we think it is? Like, it might be Bam. Well, if this is Bam, it's the most random decision ever. And it doesn't make any sense. And Kate just happens to say like, I think it's going to be Bam. Yep. I just think it's going to be Bam. I don't want it to be Bam. I just think it's going to be Bam. And then everyone's like, well, Kate clocked that it was Bam. So Kate has to be a traitor. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why do you guys think that?
There's 2 people left to come in. And I'm sure that she is not only saying that because she thinks it, but also the person she likes the most in the house is it. What's she going to say? Like, nah, I want Brandy dead. Like,
right.
Because everyone would then be like, what? You want your best friend in the house dead? You must be a traitor.
No like, matter what comes out of Kate's mouth, she cannot win. Whatever comes out of her mouth, everybody's like, oh, she must be a traitor. She must be a traitor. And it's just, this is the wildest thing to me because then we cut to, I think it's like Quentin and a few other people talking to Ari and they're like, well, Kate said like, I think it's going to be Bam. Yeah. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, peculiar. Why would that be? And it's just very, I don't know. It's a strange turn for me here because everybody was speculating. It's just like they wanted something to pin on Kate, in my opinion.
I don't blame Azra for being quiet because if you speak in this house, it becomes evidence against you. You could be like, the peacock is outside, and they'd be like, you know that peacock begins with P, so that must be a traitor because. And then come up with some stupid reason. Yeah. I can't even think of one right now because I don't understand any logic being used in this whole game. I can't come up with it myself.
Yeah, don't worry. Rachel or Stephanie or Quentin or someone else would think of some ridiculous reason to pin it on Azra if that were the case. It's just, this whole thing is wild. But it does create the chaos. I mean, like, everybody is shocked. Christian can still not stop talking. He's really burying himself here. He will not shut up. I don't know and I think the other thing I wrote in my notes here is that I visually from watching Cody on feeds and just knowing his mannerisms, I can see him kind of like starting to crack here, starting at this breakfast.
Yes, I wrote on my notes, Cody looks so nervous. He was doing lip biting. He was like fidgeting. He was like staring, like, yeah, exactly. Watching Big Brother, I was like, oh, Cody, like, this is why Rachel clocked. Like, you are, if you would just stare at Cody for like 30 seconds, you would see that he's acting like he's just not doing a good job of hiding his anxiety over it. And then we also see like he has his diary room sessions where like Cody's now feeling like sad now, which is annoying me. Cody's like, oh, I can't believe I have to backstab these people.
This
is so hard. Like, come on, Cody. Like that started getting me annoyed too. Like, Cody, get over it. Like, you're a traitor. It is what it is.
Yes, I will say, Javier, I know you haven't watched UK. The UK version of this is like, that's almost all it is people being like, this is so hard and it's so emotional. But it's like, it feels more genuine coming from them because they're not like career reality TV stars. It's like, this is the first time they've ever had to do anything like this. And it does seem like it's taking a toll. Whereas Cody's like, you won Big Brother. You came in second place on another season of Big Brother and you lived with those people for almost 100 days and you didn't have that much of an issue cutting Nicole Franzel, who was like your actual real life good friend. But this guy who you just met, you're like having a breakdown over. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
You had to grow up with Pauly too. Like, come on, you've gone through worse.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. You have Cara Maria as like a almost part of your family. It doesn't get worse than that, in my opinion. So after breakfast, Brandy and Kate they go off. Everybody starts to have a kind of like a little discussion in one of the side rooms, and a bunch of people come in, and Kate is speaking pretty loudly about Michael still being a traitor, and Brandy's like, maybe you should like pipe it down. She's like, I don't care. They know that they're traitors. Who cares if they're listening? They know. So Kate just like doesn't give any fucks, which we knew coming in, like we should have expected from her. And a bunch of other people come in, and the conversation gets a little lively. Azra and Angelica get visibly upset here, and they leave the room and they go into the bathroom, and they're just feeling emotional about this. What did you guys think about that? If you had any thoughts.
All right, this is going to be a hot take.
Okay.
More people need to be bullied in 2023. And so I was not opposed to what happened in that room. And I think that if you're uncomfortable with the direct line of dialogue that Kate uses, which like I understand, I know a lot of people who just like do not enjoy confrontation and it stresses them out. Like, okay, if that's you, that's fine or whatever. So like them leaving is fine. Okay. Like I'm not really judging it. However, you are on like a show where if you don't have direct communication, then like, how do you plan on being successful? But I appreciate what Kate did. I don't even think it was bullying, but even if someone deemed that it was, there are some people that need to just be bullied because we've tried this nice route for however long, and now we're stuck with like Twitter, you know, like we have dumb takes, dumb things being said, and we're not allowed to criticize them back. People need to be criticized, and if it escalates to bullying, learn a lesson. There we go. I'm pro bullying.
You know, it's a statement that I don't necessarily disagree with. I mean, Angelica comes out of the bathroom and she's like, as a hairstylist, you're pretty much a therapist. And I'm like, bro, first of all, like that's like insulting to people. Yeah, that actually have PhDs.
Yeah, my hairstylist is more of a bully than I am. And she's fucking hilarious. So
yeah, this whole thing to me of everybody getting on their moral high horse of Kate and Brandy playing the game based on Michael's actions. Let's not pretend like they're pulling this out of thin air. Michael is acting shady. He's not acting like a person who doesn't have something to hide would act. Like he's doing too much. He's playing too hard. He's throwing a bunch of people's names out. He put a lot of suspicion on Geraldine for no reason. He gave Kate an ultimatum. He made Kyle feel weird. It's not out of left field that they would be bringing this guy's name up. So why are we on our moral high horses here of like Kate and Brandy being blunt? To me, it's not only internalized misogyny, but like blatant misogyny of all of the men on this cast. Not all of them, but like Christian for sure. The fact that he has called and I want to apologize actually to Cody, not that he's ever going to hear this, but in the first episode I said that Cody called Kate toxic, and I went back and it actually was Christian that was calling Kate toxic, not Cody. Of course it was. So yes, and then Christian also is the one that like went for Kate and was like, well, she's intimidating in his confessional, and it's like, okay, so just say that you're intimidated by a strong woman who has her own opinions. Just say that instead of like making it seem like she's this toxic cancer in the house. But everybody seems to think that. I don't see it personally. She's playing the game. She's there. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Michael like gets loud, yells at people, cuts people off mid-sentence, like points in their faces, has come out on the other side of sending 2 women home, which means like people are giving him the benefit of the doubt over women. So like we won't even get to everyone's internalized misogyny. I had been thinking that as well. But like if you compare how he speaks to people in these high pressure situations versus how Kate is just speaking, like I've watched what, up through season 6 right now, Below Deck, in addition to this show. I don't think I've ever heard Kate raise her voice. But people get mad at Kate because she will calmly, in your face, tell you to go fuck yourself, but not by saying go fuck yourself. She will make you understand that's what she's saying. And people don't have a way against that, like, or a way to defend themselves against it or a reaction, because more often than not, like, you aren't used to dealing with someone like Kate. And so because she's almost like an anomaly, I think, to a lot of people, that's why people find her intimidating and just do not handle being spoken to directly. And I mean, like, Kate has been ostracized by this house by the end of episode 4. Like, she's just kind of like roaming around in her red sweater and her boots by herself. And I don't like, you can think Kate is a bitch, but if you think Kate's a bitch, like, you need to take some time to reflect on why you think Kate is a bitch. Is it because she's speaking upfront what she thinks and not sugarcoating it? Because that's not being a bitch, that's being honest. If a man does that, they're not a bitch. Michael is doing those things and yelling and being aggressive about it, and no one is calling him any of these things.
Yeah.
And you're letting him stay more days. Like, I'm over Michael. I'm over how Kate is being treated. There's a lot of things that frustrated me throughout these 2 episodes. And I get that I am a Kate defender, but nonetheless, like, remove the bias. If you think Kate's the bitch in this situation, like, take a second to think about why you think that.
1,000%. And I feel like, I don't want to say that Kate and Brandy are getting bullied at this point, but they're clearly being put on the outs and they're being ostracized, at, like you said, Kari. And it just feels like no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to get themselves out of the situation for really no apparent reason, in my opinion. It's just, and it's unfortunate to see it come mostly from Stephanie and Rachel.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like a lot of it is stemming from, outside of like a Christian and a Quentin.
So my thoughts on this is, first of all, I love Kate, and Kate has been like, when I'm watching, as I'm reading my notes, I'm like, every time Kate says something, I'm writing down my notes, because I just think Kate has been giving us a lot of great lines. I think she's giving us, again, great TV. I do not think she's bullying Michael. And first of all, I was shocked Rachel was the one who said, oh, like, we shouldn't be like calling someone out. Like, Rachel, did you see your gameplay in BB like 12 and 13?
Yes.
Like, you were arguing with people all the time. You and Reagan were at each other's necks 24/7. And now all that Kate said was, I think Michael's a traitor because he has been doing XYZ. I don't see how that's bullying at all. So I definitely do not think Kate's being a bully. But yeah, I think Kate, what I also liked about this scene was when Christian tried to step in. Christian's trying to be like, oh, this is not a great idea, blah, blah, blah. And Kate says, oh, this is a great idea. Like, I'm going to do this anyways. And then she tells him, you're next, straight to his face. And then Christian says, like, whoa, like, Christian, like, overreacts. And then she says, like, I'm not going to lose sleep over it either. Like, if you're mad about it, like, I don't care. And Kate is just being matter of fact. And I love those kind of players in these kind of games. So I'm 100% team Kate. She's just saying what she thinks, and that's like what's going to move the game forward. If like in one of the roundtable discussions, I don't know if it was this episode or episode 4, they were even talking about that. Like, if you take out everyone who's going to like say a name or give a reason, where's the game going to go?
Right.
Like, how are we going to get anyone out? How are we going to figure out who the traitors are if everyone's going to sit there quietly? Like, fine, Kate is wrong about Michael, but at least she has a reason to want to target this man, because his story is not great. He's not doing a great job of defending himself. So I don't know. I'm 100% team Kate, and whoever's saying Kate's being a bully or anything, they need to watch other reality TV shows where people actually get bullied, because this is not bullying at all. Okay.
Javier, I'm so happy you said that about Rachel, because like literally Rachel, like I just can't, it's just wild to me that she all of a sudden is on this high horse. And I've only seen Big Brother 13 and parts of Big Brother 12. I haven't seen the whole season, but like, it's not like she is a person that acts perfect in all situations. It's just, it's weird to me. Some of the negative attention that Brandy and Kate are getting for literally playing the game. And the fact that people are so firmly saying that Kate and Brandy at a certain point are traitors, when literally the first person that was murdered was one of their closest friends in the house. And I get that could be a strategy of like, well, that'll get the scent off of us. But like, I don't think that they would be playing that way to start off. Like, why make such a big swing right at the beginning? Like, let's think about this a little bit. They would have kept Reza around a little longer to make it seem like they weren't traitors. And then all of a sudden, randomly, he would disappear, or one of them would disappear if the other was a traitor. Like, the logic is just not making sense.
I want to hear Brandy. Well, I wish I heard Brandy or Kate use that as defense. You know what I mean? Like, if I was Kate right now, I would be like, how am I a traitor? Because 2 people in this house liked me. Why would I kill off 50% of them in the very first night?
Right.
Why would I do that to myself?
Why would I
stick myself in this house with people who clearly cannot handle my personality when there's 2 people who could? Why would I kill off one of them? That literally makes no sense. Why would I make myself miserable?
Yeah.
Also, you would like, sorry, not to cut you off.
No.
If Kate were to be a traitor or Brandy were to be a traitor, they have the types of personalities to me that, because especially Kate, I think they would want to keep around people that they like for the mere fact of, if I lose, it's not that dumbass who said these things about me getting the money. It's someone that I actually like who is getting the money instead. And so it also just doesn't make sense in that component of it. Kate is not I don't want to say like a not nice enough person, but she protects people she cares about and treats them very well. We've seen her do this on television. So to think that she would like stray from that, I also just want to hear that from her. Or maybe she said it and we didn't see it, obviously, but like Kate has things that she can easily use to defend herself, but I could also see being stuck in that house with the people who are just treating her like shit for playing this game. I could also just see being like, okay, you all can just go fuck yourselves. It doesn't matter what I say. You're not going to listen to me.
Yeah. I'm surprised she's not at that point yet, but let's talk a little bit about the mission. Kari, do you want to explain, since this is your favorite mission / challenge?
I think this is such a cool one.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. So they split into 2 teams, and one of the teams has to read sheet music, but instead of the actual notes, each note is given a number, and each number correlates to a church bell. And so the conductor will like read out the numbers, and the other people will pull the ropes for the bells accordingly. And then some distance away back at the castle, there is another group, and they're waiting to hear the song that's being played. And once that song is played, they need to try to identify it. And once they identify it, they have to run inside the house, and there's a bunch of music boxes set up, like the jewelry ones where you open it and it plays the song as like the little object inside spins around. And whatever that object is, of when you find the music box that matches the song that's being played, you have to find that object in the house. You only have a certain amount of time to accomplish this for each song. Each correctly found object won the team $5,000. So they could get up to $25,000.
This is a fun one.
I think it's cool.
This. Yeah, it's fun. It's like, it's fun to watch. I like it. It reminds me, did you guys watch Claim to Fame?
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of the one where they had to like run around the house
and like the
scavenger. Yes, yeah. And I like that challenge too. It was a lot of fun. Not a ton of like drama or game talk here, because everybody, well, they're split up to start, and then they're just running around, like crazy. I think the only real notable thing is that Cody was very clearly irritated by Rachel, which it's like we get all these like little bits and pieces of like Cody and Rachel, and then they don't go anywhere, which leads me to think like there's going to be some point where there's going to be conflict, but we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. The only thing that I liked about this, I mean, I do think the challenge is really cool, but what really stood out to me was like, yo, Brandy was working hard.
Yes.
Like, same thing with like Reza episode 1. I didn't expect this from Brandy. Brandy was hustling. She was at her heels. She was running. I was like, yes, Brandy worked. Like, I was so happy to see Brandy work so hard, because I didn't expect that coming from her. I thought she was going to be like walking around and, but she was really gunning for this win. So I really enjoyed seeing Brandy like really pull out that side. Like, okay, beast Brandy up in here. But I really like that side of Brandy.
I was watching this episode and I was like, I think I have no choice but to stand Brandy. Like, she's killing it. I mean, unfortunately, we know what happens at the end of the episode, but I was like, she's actually like really good at this. She picked 2 of the 3 traitors right off the bat. She's super perceptive. She's competitive. She's playing the challenges. Like, let's get her back on another season of Celebrity Big Brother. Like, I would love that, or just something else competitive like this, because she's good at it. She's fun to watch too.
Yeah. I think she's good at these social strategy games. Yes, again, we know what happens to Brandy now by the end of episode 3. But I think, like, I don't know how else to put this, but it's just unfortunate. I feel like when you come into these games with a big personality, you are just targeted. It's just like, I hate it, and I know I hate to see it, but you do kind of have to lay a little bit lower than Brandy will ever lay low. So I don't know if she'll ever do well if she plays in these games.
Yeah.
But I just love to see her play, because I really feel like she has a good mind for these games. And we've seen it on other strategy shows like Big Brother, like Survivor, like the people who are like loud and boastful, a lot of the times they just don't make it that far, So
I know, and it's frustrating, and I don't want to get off on a tangent on the most recent season of Survivor, but we saw a lot of this on the most recent season of Survivor. Like, the winner was baffling, and it just feels like people didn't want the people who are playing the best game to win, and it just encourages poor gameplay and boring gameplay.
Yes.
And I feel the same way about Big Brother. I mean, Big Brother All-Stars, Cody is like the king of this, is getting rid of anybody that had a big personality who could be a threat, which strategically maybe it's fine, like it sets you up for the win, but it's not a fun game to watch. It's not a fun game I can imagine to play if you're a game player, and it's just disappointing to kind of see it. It's just like very lackluster. So I think in this challenge, correct me if I'm wrong, they won all of it. They swept it, which is really great. After the mission, we see some chatter throughout the house, but the main thing that I want to focus on is the writing of the note. And when I was watching this, I said out loud next to my partner, Matt, I said, as Dorinda Medley said, say it, forget it, write it, regret it, Kate. And why are you writing things down? Like, what? As soon as they showed her writing this note with Brandy, I was like, this is it. This is the end of one of them. Like, this is rough.
Yeah, I think of Michaela on the challenge when she wrote that list out and they used it against her. Just notes don't really fare well for anybody in reality TV because it gives, I mean, it's not even evidence. Like, what's so funny is you can watch, or I mean, like, the players can watch it now, whether they decide to believe Kate at any point, but it's Kate saying names and Brandy's like, absolutely not. I love that person. No way. I love that person. Like, the two people that they said, Brandy immediately was like, no chance in hell. Not absolutely no. And so, like, they're saying nice things, and it is the demise of, well, maybe not yet of Kate, but at least causes Kate a lot of grief in the house. And I mean, Brandy just doesn't get to stick around long enough to see what happens from it. But yeah. It wasn't even like a why did you even need to write that down in the first place? How cheap you of you to write shit down. She loves a checklist. She loves a checklist.
And then, like, not throw it out. Like, what are you taking that? Were she going to carry it forever? Like, put it under your pillow, throw it, rip it up, and put it in.
Eat it.
Like, eat it. Do
At least rip it up. Like, you don't need to be holding on to it. Yeah, it was a weird decision. I guess maybe they were just trying to get their thoughts together because there were still so many people in the house and, like, it's easier to write it down. I don't know. I was watching it and I was like, this is not a good idea. This is a terrible idea. And they still eventually, locked it on Michael anyway. And one thing I wanted to say about Brandy and Kate is in the first few episodes when Kate was like, Brandy and I are really similar, I was like, no, they're not similar at all. Like, Brandy is kind of an explosive personality more so than Kate, where Kate keeps it very even. But in this episode, when they were sitting around before the mission and Brandy was just totally reserved and not saying anything, and Kate was the one that was going, I was like, oh, they are actually really similar. Like, it's interesting to see Brandy in this more controlled version of herself because, Javier, I don't know if you watch Housewives, but Brandy is like a loose cannon. Like, she's always losing it all the time. She's always drunk and she's just a mess. And here it's just like she just feels so much more sophisticated and put together. So it's like interesting to see this different side of her.
The only other thing I want to talk about here is yesterday when we were talking on the podcast, Kari, you were saying that they don't know there's 3 traitors, but they do know. Multiple times in these episodes, they're like naming 3 people. So I think
I just think that that's a guess, to be honest, because like, well, if you think about it, there's 20 of them. So would they make 25% of the cast traitors? I don't know. It's never said in the round table part when he's going around.
Okay. I need to go back and watch it because Quentin in episode 4, he's also naming 3 people.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a weird, I don't know, for like if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't guess 3. I would guess either 1 or like a group or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think let's put it this way. I know in the other 2 series they don't tell them. So maybe I'm thinking of that, but I don't remember Floop saying that, Alan Cumming saying that that he's picking the 3 traitors right now. Just the traitors. I think there's a lot of assumption that it's 3.
Got it. Okay. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
only thing.
interesting. You're right though, Carrie, because in the UK they very much were like, I don't know, is there one? Like it seemed like they were questioning. But
Yeah.
Javier, I agree with you. Every single one of them is like, okay, I have Suri and this person, but I don't have the third, or I don't have,
Mhm.
it's this, and this person. So maybe they were told off camera or something, and we didn't see it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm curious, and maybe Carrie, this is more of a question for you, but which series do you think was filmed first,
Oh,
UK or this, or do we know that?
we do know. USA was filmed first.
First. I had
Really?
a feeling because they were in much colder gear than the UK version. It seemed like either the UK was like fall into winter and then they were in winter, or each vice versa.
So we have Pamela, thank you, saying, I heard Stephanie said they told the
Oh.
players between 3 and 5
Oh.
traders.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting. Thank you, Pamela.
Yeah,
That's
I
good
remember
info.
reading somewhere that they said USA filmed before UK. And the only reason I remember it is because like the orders swapped from when it came out.
Yeah. I get this. I get the sense just because I think we're missing a couple of things that the UK had. So it would be weird to me if they took them out, but it makes sense if they put them in after, testing with the US version.
I don't know if it's the same production company though. You know what I mean? Like, you know how US Circle and UK Circle actually were the same
Yeah.
like producers and stuff. I don't know if that's the same thing happening with Traitors.
I thought it was, but I don't know that for a fact. But okay, so before we get to the roundtable, the other thing I wrote is that Stephanie keeps pushing Brandy and Kate. This is becoming now a theme of Stephanie and Rachel pushing Brandy and Kate, and they're trying to get traction on their side. And everybody, what I put in my notes is that everyone keeps talking about their loud personalities, and they're having a conversation with Michael here, and Michael's like, well, the thing is, if you go for them, you have to go for them because they're so loud. And it just goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's like, God forbid a woman has an opinion and isn't afraid to voice it. It's just so irritating to me. This is just like a very irritating line of discussion to me. And I just don't get the sense that it's going to get any better until Kate is also out of the house. Whenever, if she is, I mean, I don't know. I'm not spoiled, luckily. But yeah, I just feel like this is not going to go away, this theme.
Recruit Kate for Traitor 2K23.
Oh my God.
That's
love it. I would love it.
I'm going to run for some political campaign, and that will be my slogan.
I would love it. Anything else we want to talk about the rest of the episode before we get to the roundtable?
I think the two other things, but the first thing, one thing is just like a really funny comment that I need to make because
Yeah.
it was the first time that, I don't know how you guys feel about Alan Cummings as the host. I think like he's okay. I think he's doing a little too campy and he's going a little too into like, ooh, murders and he's doing a little too much. Because I just think of like, again, the mole, but I loved
Alex Wagner.
Alex. She's my queen.
Alex.
I love her.
She was like probably one of my favorite like reality TV show hosts. She was in it, but she wasn't doing too much. And I wish that's the vibe that Alan gave me. But during the right before he announced that that Osro was killed, he made a really good line. He said he's dressed as a less butch Agatha Christie in a more fabulous outfit.
Yes.
And I started cracking up because that was a great like little, because it's like a mystery show, Agatha Christie. I love that line. So I have to shout out Alan for that line because I was cracking up when he said that.
Yeah, he is doing a little too much for me, but there are points where I do find him very funny. The host of the UK version is very similar, in my opinion, to Alex Wagner, and she's amazing. Her name is Claudia Winkleman, and she is like the perfect balance of at the breakfast and at the round table being very kind of like stoic and not super, she's not making jokes or anything, like, but she'll be a little like cheeky and make like a sassy comment here and there, but not over the top campy like Alan Cumming. But then at the missions, she's like all in, rooting for them to get the money. Like, and I feel like Alex was kind of like that too in the mole. Like she was super invested, and you could tell that she was just like really following the game, very invested into where it would go. And she was just like an incredible addition. So I'm missing her a little bit in this. Alan, I think, is doing a good job, but I'm really missing Claudia.
Yeah. Claudia is a top-notch host. You can tell she cares. And her personality is like definitive of being British. You know, like that.
Yes, she's great.
Sense of humor. She comes in with the deadpan, the monotone, but also saying something like cutting and witty. Just she's great, and she just cared so much. Yes.
Yeah.
But if you want a good host, that's your girl right there.
Yeah, she was great. But okay, so we get to the round table, and immediately we have Quentin speaking up and putting suspicion on Kate. And he's kind of like, you've stirred up confusion and you continue to throw out names. And for that reason, I think you're a traitor. And I'm kind of like, this logic isn't making sense to me. And throughout this whole roundtable, I feel like there's just no logic to be had. You know, like Michael starts to jump in and go in on Kate, and it feels like there starts to be a pile on Kate. And then somehow, and I'm unclear how this happens, it flips to Brandy. I don't feel like we got an explanation.
It's when Brandy, I can't remember what she said, but
she was like, "Oh, your anxiety's you're not crying today."
Yeah, I wrote down what it said because she ate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. She did.
Brandy was being Brandy, and she like the difference between her and Kate, in my opinion, is Kate's going to be able to say things in a way where she has like plausible deniability of not. I wasn't insulting you. I was saying this where Brandy is letting you know that she's coming for your fucking jugular, and she doesn't care if you know it, and she will go below the belt. Where Kate is just consistently direct. I feel like that's their big difference, and I think that's when the tables turned on Brandy, is when she started coming after Michael for like, oh well, you're not socially anxious tonight, like where's the anxiety that is, I think, when people are like, okay, fuck you.
Yeah.
But I was cracking up. I'm sorry when she said, well, you're not crying tonight.
Me too.
And then someone says something. Someone goes like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, I think it was Ari,
Cody, or somebody.
I think maybe Ari. Cody and Ari. And there were a couple of people that were like, "Brandy, come on, Brandy."
And Brandy just goes like, "Well, I'm just making a point." Like it was so funny the way she just kept going at it. And yeah, I think that's unfortunately why they turned on Brandy, because I was also confused because I thought it would be Kate or Michael, and then when it ended up being Brandy, I was just like, "Okay, she made like a little comment about Michael. Fine, maybe she shouldn't have, but like, come on." So that was very confusing to me.
Yes. And to me, it felt strange because, like, if that's the reason, then fine, I guess. But Michael has been giving people ultimatums. He's been an emotional wreck across the 2 episodes. He's unhinged. Like, and I don't mean unhinged in like a derogatory way, but he's just like, he's unpredictable and he is a wild card. And he, as Kyle says, even in the next episode, like, he's throwing names out that just like don't make any sense. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. It can be someone that just has his back 2 seconds ago and he's just like putting a name out and you just don't know where he's going to go next. He's a wild card. So you guys are really like going to keep this guy in who has done it's his own actions. Kate and Brandy aren't making things up about Michael to make him look suspicious. Michael's own actions are making Michael look suspicious. And it just wouldn't make sense for Traitors if you just really take 2 seconds to think about it, to be making this big of a stink, or to be making not even a stink, but to be making this big of a spectacle of themselves and staunchly going after a person like Kate and Brandy are doing if they were traitors, because all that does is put suspicion on them. So like, you would have to, it just feels like logically, clearly those 2 are faithful. Like, they wouldn't be going out on a limb like this if they weren't, because it just puts way too much of a spotlight on them. Start looking at the people who are saying nothing or who are doing nothing, like a Cody and like a Christian who's saying things but like not really saying anything and just going along with what other people are saying to not look suspicious. People who have strong opinions and are like fully out there, it just wouldn't make sense for Traitors to act the way that Kate and Brandy are acting. And it's frustrating that people aren't seeing that.
I fully agree. That's like what's been very confusing watching this show in terms of like their strategy. And I guess I was going to talk about this more like when we got to episode 4, but it just feels like I'm not really seeing a lot of strategic gameplay from anyone outside of the Traitors. Like they're kind of just like going with the loudest person, the biggest person out. Like this, it's just not feel like a valid reason to vote someone out. And I just wish that they would like use their brains a little harder. And and try to figure out these traitors, because clearly you're doing something wrong. If the moment, like when Brandy went home, my brain would have been like, okay, we need to reframe everything. We're clearly doing everything wrong here. Brandy went home. It's probably, I would have like, not, it's not Kate. It's not Kate in my brain anymore.
Yeah.
I would be done chasing after Kate after that. If for some weird reason I thought that. So I just feel like these people are not playing strategically. So unless they like get it together soon, I really don't foresee a good ending for the faithfuls.
Yeah.
Here's my issue. I actually think that Quentin is the closest to figuring out the traitors. He's just applying his logic to the wrong person. If you listen to Quentin, it's like she's constantly causing chaos. Go to Traitor's Tower. The castle is in chaos. Like that's their actual game plan. So he's like recognizing what the traitors are doing, except he's like missing the key component, which like the traitors are going to cause chaos behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does not benefit a traitor to be a hurricane in front of everybody. It just doesn't make sense. And so like if he were to take exactly what he said to Kate and replace any of the traitors' names with Kate, we would all be sitting here being like, you figured them out. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean it just by like, oh, obviously he's using the right name, but like you figured out their strategy. So it's just like I think Quentin's close and he is just not applying his logic to the right place. And we need more of like Quentin-esque logic and less of, I mean, like Michael is in his own way causing chaos, but not in like a good way. To clear him out, I think will help clear the room. But I actually don't think that the faithful are necessarily that off. They're just missing that key idea of like, why would they act like this right in front of you? Why?
I just wish that a Kate or a Brandy would say something like that. Like, how would it benefit me to be so matter of fact about this and to be so out there and to be sharing my opinion? If I were a traitor, which I'm not, I wouldn't be saying anything. I would be looking at the people who are sitting here saying nothing because we're doing exactly what they want us to do, which is point fingers at each other while they can sit back and do nothing. Like, someone needs to say that. And I feel like Kyle has started to say that a little bit, but Quentin, I think you're right, Kari. Like, his logic is good, but I don't think it's ever going to shift into that other mindset of like, oh, they're doing it behind the scenes, because I feel like he seems like he has a little bit of that like morality clause that everybody else has of like, oh, well, Kate, you're publicly out here sharing your opinion, so you must be a traitor because you're not being like nice and precious to everybody. And it feels like that's just going to start blinding everybody.
I'm glad we brought up Quentin because he's in my notes a few times because I feel like Quentin is getting a lot of screen time.
Yes.
I think Quentin is gonna make it deep into this game because I think he like you said, Kari, he's so close to getting it. So if Quentin is able to get a traitor before he gets killed, Quentin has a good chance of like, possibly winning this game because I think Quentin is just this far away from like getting the exact traitors and who they are. So I think if Quentin can stay in the game and not become a target for the traitors, because if he keeps targeting someone like Kate, I guess they won't target him, which could work for him for a bit, but eventually he's gonna have to connect the dots that like once they get a traitor, I think Quentin will be the person who can really like solidify that and really keep going and try to get the rest of the traitors out. I think Quentin has a pretty good grasp of the game at the moment compared to the rest of the players, I feel.
Yeah, I think you're right. I definitely think you're both right. I'm impressed by Quentin so far. I just think he's a little off base, but it does feel like he's at least like getting the concept of the game and how to play it. Whereas we just get Angelica and Azra kind of like crying. And then we hear from Andy a little bit later that they're feeling, and I sympathize with Andy. Like unless you're playing a game like this, I can imagine that you don't know how you're going to feel when people are like lying to your face and you're making connections with people. So like, I get it, but it just doesn't feel like they are super into the game at this point. Like, it feels like they're just having a hard time. And who else? I mean, Michael, we know ends up happening to Michael, but are those the rest of the civilians? The rest of them are gone, right?
No, there's
Bam
Amanda.
is gone. Oh, and Christian. Oh yeah, Amanda. Amanda, I think, is doing okay as well. Okay, we'll
and
see.
Shelby's still there.
Oh yeah, Shelby. Yeah. I actually like Shelby a lot. So far, I think she's doing a good job.
I think a lot of people, both civilians and celebrities, are acting on how they feel about a person in terms of like, do I like this person or don't I? And not on evaluating their actions or lack of actions for what they are. And I think that like how Quentin, I didn't really have a problem with Quentin coming at Kate because the way that he came at Kate at least was not personal. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the other stuff has felt more like you're a traitor because I don't like you. And Quentin at least feels like he's trying to evaluate the situation. And I think we've seen it with like Brandy leaving this vote and Michael leaving the next one of just like they're going after people that they don't want around, not the people who would necessarily be causing you to have these reactions to the people you're voting out.
We'll talk about Michael when we get closer to that, but I have a lot of thoughts about the Michael vote as well. I think you're right though about Quentin. I think what frustrates me about the Brandy vote specifically is that it feels like, because like we've been saying, it feels like everyone's coming from this place of like morality or I don't like you or whatever, but they're putting it under this mask of like, well, you're causing chaos, so you must be a traitor. But it's very obvious that Brandy is not a traitor, and she wasn't even accused of being a traitor until she started saying like, oh, well, you're not crying now. Like, you know, where's your social anxiety seems to be gone. Then everybody like flipped it. So it's like, you don't even think she's a traitor. You're not even worried about getting a traitor out. It didn't even seem like they were surprised when she said she wasn't a traitor. It's just kind of like, what do we do? Like, what are you actually trying to do here? Are you getting the people out that you don't like, or are you trying to get the traitors? And to me, this was clearly, we don't want Brady here anymore. Let's just get her out.
The only other person I want to give a shout out to is I feel like Kyle's playing a really good game.
Me too.
And unfortunately, I think it's going to bite him in the ass because in episode 4, he started to talk a little too much. I wish he would have held it back for a few more episodes. But like this episode, when he like was talking with his vote, he was like, we need vocal people, which I fully agree. I think that is the right way to play the game. Do not take out all the vocal people in the beginning, because then you're never going to find the traitors. But yeah, I think Kyle's this episode, at least we'll get to episode 4, but this episode, I think Kyle is putting just the right amount of input. And I feel like we're seeing in his confessionals, his gears are working. And I think Kyle is really thinking, and he's probably the biggest surprise for me in terms of like someone who's actually playing very strategic. So I think Kyle's doing a really good job through episode 3 and through episode 4 for the most part. But I think it's going to come back to bite him in the ass, him being a little too willing to share information for these people who, like, the moment you share anything, they assume that you're a traitor. You can't even be any kind of vocal at all. So I think Kyle's playing kind of with the wrong cast, unfortunately, because it seems like these people, the moment you say something that seems a little logical, or, you know, they right away are already going to target you. So
yeah, Kyle's someone who I would also like to see on Celebrity Big Brother, because I am very impressed by the way that he's playing. And he was a person I'm just here for my Bravo people. Like I came in ready to root for Bravo over Big Brother, over Survivor, except for Suri. I love Suri, but I just feel like these are my people and I'm sticking with them. And like, I'm happy with the way that they've all played the game so far, except obviously it just didn't work out well for Reza and Brandy thus far, which is really a bummer. My Bravo friends are in shambles right now, but Kyle's been really good, I think. And it feels like everybody seems to kind of like him. And he seems to be the voice of reason. And he does speak up at this roundtable, exactly what you said. And he talks about, you know, like people staying quiet. Azra takes this personally for some reason, even though everybody is pretty much quiet at this table, except for him and Brandy and, you know, Michael, obviously, and Kate and a few others, Quentin, Christian, who can't seem to keep his mouth shut no matter what. Like when you don't need to be talking, he just continues to talk. But yeah, I don't know. It seems weird to me that Azra took that so personally.
No, Kyle got Azra killed. I'm not a Kyle fan. You killed 1/4 of my draft team, Kyle. No, kick rocks.
Azra got Azra killed.
Azra did get Azra. She didn't have to say anything. She did that herself. He wasn't talking to her.
Yeah. I have a feeling though, because based off of what I read about like the UK and stuff, those roundtables go on for like 2 hours.
Oh, I'm sure. I wish we got the uncut versions.
Yeah, I have a feeling that she was likely probably the only person who didn't speak at that roundtable.
Probably.
Hence why she didn't say something until it was her vote. But I'm like, I drafted her because I told you she would be quiet. I told you. And I was like, she's going to get far because she's quiet. But then Kyle was like, no, pick off the quiet people. And the Traitors were like, we got you, fam. And that's it. My draft team just falling apart at the seams. You know that whole like burial activity? Like that's my team out there. We're just out.
Except they're just not
buried alive at the graves. Yeah. And then Suri is the one in front of the grave, like the meme going like this. Like my draft team.
I'm still alive.
Verbal meme. Tombstone, Kari's draft team.
Yeah.
And then in front of the grave, Suri giving the peace sign.
Amazing. So this is the round table. Everybody seems like just irritated in general. And then Kate stands up and what do you know? A piece of paper falls out of her skirt and onto the chair. And probably the worst person that could have found it. Stephanie picks it up. It's one of the worst people. I think her or Michael or Rachel or Quentin probably would have been the worst people to find this note. But in general, it's just not a good thing to have had this on you and have it fall on the chair.
And then Stephanie going to Suri. I'm sorry. Stephanie's blind spot for Suri, like, what is that? Given, like, I don't want Suri to get caught, but, like, why does she not have a single concern that Suri might be a traitor?
Well, I'm glad you bring this up because in episode 4, and this is exactly what we talked about yesterday about the pre-gaming, and what I was concerned about is that in episode 4, Stephanie does say in relation to Suri for another reason, which we'll talk about, is that she has a blind spot, or not a blind spot for Suri, but she's like, this is my, we've had a day one alliance. We've been alliance since day one. I know she's the one person in this house I can trust. And it's because they know each other and they played Survivor together on the same tribe and they've been on other shows together and they've known each other for 100 years probably at this point and have a very personal relationship with each other. So you can't play this game in an unbiased way when you have all of these people that actually do know each other from the outside, because she's never going to think that Suri is a traitor. And if she was a traitor, she probably would expect like, oh, I know Suri so well that I'd be able to tell. But like, obviously you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Stephanie's downfall is going to be the fact that she trusts Suri so much, which is good for Suri, but bad for my draft team because Stephanie's on my draft team.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like especially someone who has seen Suri play, you've played with Suri, you've played Survivor 3 times. Like you gotta suspect everybody, no matter how close. They could be your best friend. They could be if your sibling is against you. Like you just have to think. You never know. Like there has to be a little inkling in your brain that you at least have to be open to someone like giving you facts that can make you lead to that person. And I don't think Stephanie's gonna be open to see Suri as a target until Suri gets her or she gets voted out. So
yeah, very
sad to see that. That's probably gonna be Stephanie's downfall.
Yeah, very sad. And exactly, Pamela says the Snake in the Grass Alliance, which is frustrating because Rachel, Suri, and Stephanie were on Snake in the Grass together on the same episode. It's just like, come on, guys. Can we at least like shake up the casting a little bit here?
I actually think that Stephanie will end up staying around for a while because if Suri is smart, she'll insulate herself with people who would never vote for her in banishment.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So I think she'll be around. Unless, of course, and I haven't seen past episode 4. I know we leave the end of this episode on an argument about maybe murdering someone who seems like a very close ally of one of the other traitors. So maybe it does get flipped around and Suri is encouraged to murder Stephanie in a later traitor decision. But I don't know. If Suri's smart, I think that Stephanie could be around for a while.
Yeah,
I actually think that like your draft team isn't screwed because of that, because I don't know, if anything, Stephanie hasn't done anything that seems traitorish at the moment, unless she created the note that she said Kate dropped out of, that I think Suri, if you like compare her to Suri's been a bit more reserved in her opinions, and I think people will more likely turn on Suri than they will Stephanie later on.
Yeah, if I were Suri and Christian and Cody, I would want to keep Stephanie around because all Stephanie's doing is saying it's Kate, it's Kate, it's Kate. It's not even Michael, it's Kate, and it's not Kate. So it's keeping all of the attention off of the actual traitors. And so she finds this note. We didn't really finish this discussion before we move into the next episode. And she immediately brings it to Suri, probably the worst person that she could have brought it to. But because she has this blind loyalty to Suri, she brings it over. She's whispering. And she's like, wait. Suri's like, no way. And then it's like, oh, we have a perfect setup now to sabotage Kate if we need it in the next episode.
Yep. That's where we end off.
Yeah. Pretty rough stuff. Kate not looking so good at the end of episode 3, but we could jump right into episode 4 because I feel like obviously these episodes really just kind of blend together in the sense of like where they end and pick up. But Suri starts telling Christian and Cody about the note, and they're like, oh yeah, well, we have to frame Kate. Like, of course, this makes sense. And then I don't know if it's who said, is it Christian that's just like, well, what if we think of something else? And then they decide to frame Kyla instead. And they murder Azra.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think that framing Kate was a good idea with the note.
I don't think it's a good idea either, because all it does is take them to frame Kate, and then Kate gets kicked out of the game and she's banished. And she says, I'm actually a faithful. And then Stephanie's like, oh, I told Suri. The only person I told is Suri. Yeah. So it would have been a bad decision for them.
Right. I didn't think that was smart.
Yeah.
Like, you have this info in your back pocket, but I also think that they've used the like, oh, well, let's murder Reza because Michael and him had words. And then like, I guess we can say that Kyle and Azra had words, like 4 or 5 of them. So that, like, to reuse that strategy, I thought was like, is this really like mind-blowing strategy here?
Yeah.
Like, sure. If you really wanted to, I feel like the confusing thing would have been kill Angelica, but
yes, that I agree with actually. And I don't think that this worked. It didn't feel like it put a ton of suspicion on Kyle right away. It felt like Ari specifically at that breakfast clearly articulated everything that the traitors were thinking of, like, oh, well, they just want to keep people around that have suspicion on them. So they're using these things to, keep the attention off themselves, which is exactly what they were doing. And Ari clocked that strategy right away.
Yeah, no, I definitely think not killing Kate was the right play. If they would have killed, if they would have killed like Shelby or Amanda, that would have been a terrible play, I think. I was actually shocked. Ari's another one who hasn't really done anything, but to hear another person clock the strategy, it's like, how are so many people understanding the strategy, but then they're not changing their gameplay to reflect the potential strategy? And that's what's been frustrating me with these first 4 episodes. I feel like these people are like, it's now starting to almost be like in their face, and they're still not doing anything about it. So it's just starting to get very aggravating. Like, do we need a twist? Like, I don't like twists in like games like Big Brother, but like, do we need something to like get these people to like change up their game plan? Because they keep saying things, but then not acting on it. And it's getting really frustrating for me. So
yeah, it's like they're stuck in this place with Kate and Michael. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit later when it comes to the Michael vote, and why I think it, even though obviously it wasn't like the best decision, I think it's going to force people to think a little bit differently, because everybody's just leaning on these 2 people who are just the focus of all the attention. So it's like, there's no reason for them to start thinking about anybody else, because they have these 2 huge personalities here that everybody is just so focused on. And then those 2, Michael and Kate, are going against each other, especially now that Brandy's not here. It's like, regardless if Michael is a traitor or not, it makes sense to get rid of him, just because it takes the distraction away and they can start to like focus at the task at hand. I don't know if they're going to start to do that or not, but I mean, it just feels like, guys, clearly we've been doing the same thing since episode 1. You got Geraldine out because of Michael. You got Brandy out because of Michael and Kate, the situation. Like, whatever you're doing is not working. So let's switch it up and just start thinking of something completely different, because you guys are falling exactly into what the traitors want you to do.
Yeah. Not to defend the bad like strategy, but it makes sense in a way, because if you have ever tuned in to Sandra Diaz Twine's, As Long as It's Not Me, Anybody But Me, there are 15 people right now that's like,
yeah,
okay,
at least it's not me. Yeah.
You know, like I don't really have to worry about my name being brought up tonight at this circle table because we still have Kate and we still have Michael. So
Yeah.
fine by me. I'm not going to push anything forward because I mean, like Rachel's been sitting there since literally 4 seconds after the traitors were announced. Like, okay, well, Cody's won, and that hasn't come up at all. So like, she clearly has information.
I
That
sense
she's
that
sitting
that
on.
was a confessional from later in the show that they put at the beginning.
You think so?
Because I don't know why she wouldn't bring it up.
Yeah. Well, maybe so that she doesn't get murdered. Maybe,
Well,
But you would see her
because
saying it maybe to like a Stephanie on the side, just being like, I don't want to do anything with this right now, but I think
yeah,
it could be
I
Cody or something.
I don't know her or her gameplay well enough. I just know that she's very good at recognizing music when you yell numbers out to her,
Well,
and there are
she
bells
thinks
around.
she is anyway.
So, I guess I kind of understand if you're going for like I want to stick around as long as possible. Right now,
mhm.
you have at least a round or two ahead of you if Michael and Kate are the next two to go. So I kind of get it. I mean, it doesn't make for great strategy or
Yeah.
viewing experience, but
Mhm.
as a player, I don't know if I would necessarily like push back against it. And then to kind of bring in the other two series, this is kind of following suit with the like, we aren't getting a traitor, we aren't getting a traitor. But really, in both series, the first traitor they get is because the traitor fucks up.
Yep.
And a traitor hasn't fucked up yet. At least, like, not enough. Like, what? Because Christian, like I said, Christian's been consistent in his behavior. So you
Yeah.
can't really be like, oh, you went from like being quiet. Like, Cody's mannerisms are changing a bit. We see him getting like sensitive at breakfast and stuff, but no one has like openly said something enough that as a traitor to give reason to question it. Like in Australia, the first traitor that gets caught, this person makes a comment while they're all at like a challenge together, being like, oh yeah, I forgot we even murder people at night. And someone else was like, all right, I forgot that you can even be murdered at night. And someone's like, well, of course you would forget about being able to be murdered because you do the murdering. And that's
Yeah.
kind of like what caused her downfall. And as I told you guys yesterday, the first traitor that gets caught in the UK is because they impersonated the host saying hello traitors, which they would never say to everybody. So we haven't had that happen yet in this show, which I think that also needs to be, if like knowing that, I'm like not surprised that any of what's happening is happening.
Yeah.
Because they're just going off of a ton of like speculation and emotions.
Yeah. I think the first thing I want to say, I do feel like I think Rachel is playing a really good game. Since we were just talking about Rachel, she's playing way different than she played on Big Brother. Of course,
Yeah.
she is like barely getting screen time. Like it's kind of shocking to see Rachel not be the center of a show she's on. But I mean, I think she came in and made that conscious decision that I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to sit back. And maybe if she did say the Cody thing earlier or later, I guess we probably won't ever know. But I do think that she is playing a smart, very low key game, and she's allowing other people to talk, like Stephanie to talk. Like she's allowing other people to talk, and then she'll be like, "Okay, I think that's a good idea." Which unfortunately, like I think it's boring gameplay, but it is probably the best way to win these kind of games. You never really feel. I feel like you never want, in my opinion, you never want to be the person pushing. You want to be the person supporting the push if you agree with it. You know. So I do think Rachel's playing a good low key game. And I do see her going far because I think if she would have played her regular gameplay, or even like when she came in, her first like diary room was like, oh, like I'm gonna manipulate all these people. She's done none of that, first of all. So
None of it.
Fake, very fake for that. But yeah, I think she is playing the game smart though. So
yeah, I don't think that she's playing a bad game. And I think, Kari, to your point, your earlier point about like it makes sense like anybody but me, as long as it's not me. I just think when you continuously it gets to a point where there has to be some kind of like breaking point where okay, you're pushing Kate and Michael so much because it's not you, and then people are gonna be like, oh well, you were pushing this person really hard. It's happening to Kate. You were pushing this person really hard, so then maybe it is you when you're just really trying to keep it off yourself. So I think it's like it's a balance of like when to exercise that strategy and when to just be like, oh well, I don't know, maybe it's not this person, maybe it's this person because I saw them doing this, and kind of just at least say some other things or put some other things out there. I don't know. It just seems like it could go either way.
Yeah, I would like to say that you need to be the person supporting the push until you criticize the person's anxiety. Then the tables turn on you.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I thought Brandy was actually, I mean, we talked about it at length, but I think she was doing a really good job. And if that is the reason why they got rid of her, it's just kind of like, well, that's a bummer. Like, are we trying to catch traitors or are we not? Like, so what? She hit below the belt a little bit. That's Brandy. She's a reality TV star. You guys should know her for that. But yeah. So we have breakfast. Ozra's out and Angelica gets very emotional. Later we find out that she's the most emotional person in the house. It's just kind of like, okay, who cares? I don't know. To me, I'm like, who cares?
Emotional of those 5.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That were on the wheel. Yeah, that's true. But we saw her even in one of the episodes where she was voting. She was like shaking and she like couldn't vote. And Alan Cumming was like, okay, Angelica, we need to vote. It's just like, is this going to be a storyline of her being like, I don't know why we're getting these clips.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with our civilian casting, TBH.
Not quite. Yeah, neither am I.
I'll submit my season 2 application after this. After I'm 2/3 of a bottle of wine deep.
You should. I'm
gonna lead off with, I support bullying and see where I go from there.
Yeah, we need more bullying.
You know what Traitors say? I will. More bullies.
Yes. So the other thing I want to say about the murders, by the way, just something I noticed is that Suri is always the one that writes them on the note, and she writes them the names comically large. I don't know if you guys saw, but they're like huge letter. It just makes me laugh. But yeah, I mean, Ozra's out. There's not really too much else that goes on at this breakfast. Everybody still thinks Kate is shady. She has her sunglasses on. She's looking at herself in a knife, and she's like, still gorgeous. So like, you know, she's just being herself. But this is not a super eventful breakfast.
Yeah.
After breakfast, everybody goes outside.
Wait, sorry. Yeah. I had muted myself and I was trying to find the unmute button and I got there slow. Do you think that it was actually as quiet as it was edited to be when Kate came in? Like everybody else that comes in, they're like, oh yeah, there's clapping, there's hugging.
I don't.
And then when Kate came in, the show edited it to make it seem like, fuck, why wasn't she murdered?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was that quiet. That would be a little too much, I think.
That would be bullying.
Like, yes, that would be bullying, I think. If her best friend in the house left the night before and then they're all just like completely dead silent when she comes in, I don't think it was that quiet.
It's funny you mentioned that because I wrote down a note. I wrote the way nobody's excited about Kate and then LOL in big letters. Like, yeah, when she walked in, everyone was like, okay, you know, so yeah. I hope it wasn't like that because if it was, I mean, but if you think about it, the way Kate acts in episode 4, she's like at a 0 now. Like Kate was at a 10 the first 3 episodes. Brandy went home, and I feel like Kate's a completely different person this episode. So maybe that was part of that like whole like Kate like clearly people don't like me when I came in. So maybe they did react that way. I don't know. I hope they didn't, but
yeah, it's true. She does change a little bit in this episode. Like they all go and sit outside and Kate's like, I don't even want to go outside with these people. Mm-hmm. She's just like done with it. She's obviously on the very far on the outside. We do see her have a conversation with Suri. And Suri is, it seems like a fine conversation, but Suri is trying to get the scent off of Michael. And because she wants to keep Michael, as she should, wants to keep Michael in the game as a shield because he's just taking all the attention off the traitors. So, you know, she's kind of like, I just don't think someone would be able to like use the sympathy card like that. And Kate, I think she makes a great point. Like, they're just using our empathy against us in order to manipulate us. Like, that's what traitors do. But she's clearly speaking to a traitor and doesn't realize that. But I see, just even like seeing them have that conversation, I was kind of like, okay, maybe Kate's like not as on the outside as it seems like because she's having a one-on-one discussion. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. I think Kate is very much on the outside, and my reasoning, it's going to fast forward a little bit. But based off of at least the reaction we saw when the note gets brought up that night at the round table, it seems like no one has told Kate that this note has been found.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so if you're in a house with 14 other people or whatever, and not one person is going to come up and be like, hey, just so you know, there's like rumor going around that you like dropped a note last night. No one said that to her.
Yeah.
I think Kate is on the outs 100%.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, let's talk about the note. So Stephanie essentially starts telling everybody about the note, and it seems like there's this, she and Suri kind of split up, and Suri has the note now, and she's showing it to Kyle, and then Kyle gets the note, and everybody's talking about the note, and rightfully so. Almost everyone is saying like, this note doesn't make any sense. Like, why would the traitor leave this note? And it didn't feel like they were like, well, smoking gun, Kate's a traitor, she wrote this note. Everybody was just kind of like, why would she do this? It doesn't make any sense. And it even seemed like Stephanie later on in the episode was like, is she just trying to like cause chaos? Like, I don't really know what she's doing. But it doesn't seem like it had the effect of like, oh, it's a murder list of who the traitors are going to murder.
I know it said murder, but
I just can't imagine that in anyone's brain that I don't even think Ryan Lochte would do a play like this. You would write who you would murder on paper if you are a traitor. Like, this is another time I'm saying, like, I don't understand how that can go through your head and you think, okay, Kate's a traitor. Like, it just makes zero sense to me how that note doesn't further make you think, okay, Kate is not a traitor actually, because in what good world would Kate do this, Right. And when they confront her, she doesn't even overreact. She's like, okay, I wrote it and me and Brandy did it, and very matter of fact. And I don't know. It's just very much like this note should further make y'all not think Kate is a murderer.
Yep. Totally. Kyle ends up in possession of the note, and he tells us in a confessional, he's like, well, this is Kate's handwriting, and which is weird. Like, how do you know that?
It's because her E's are so fucking weird. She makes the 3 lines on the E, but she doesn't make the one that goes up and down. I guarantee you that's how he knows.
It's a good point, because they are writing on the chalkboard. That's why I'm like, how does he know what her handwriting looks like? But yes, they're writing on the chalkboard.
As a handwriting enthusiast, I have definitely noticed that about Kate's E's. She does this is her E. She doesn't write the down line, and there is an E in murder, so I'm assuming that is how he knew it was Kate's handwriting. Because why wouldn't you just, like, come on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange. It is strange, but you're right. I noticed her when she wrote Michael.
Yes. So that is why I think he knows.
Okay.
Totally slipped my mind that they can see each other's handwriting when they're writing the names on the chalkboard. I didn't even think about that. So we go to the mission from here. Everybody's kind of like talking about the note in the car, and it ends up being this. I wrote down that it's the spinny trivia mission, which is not really like trivia. I guess it's kind of like a voting thing. And I'll do my best to explain this, but there's 2 different groups of 5 that have to go on this wheel where they go upside down. And I feel like we've just seen so many spinny wheel challenges across show. I guess because we've seen this one twice, but then at the same time that the Traitors UK was airing, the challenge trivia episode where they were on the spinny thing was airing. So it's just like spinny wheels everywhere.
Why didn't you throw it, Nelson? Sorry, go ahead.
Nelson. And Alan Cummings picks the 5 people that are going to be on the wheel, and then he asks everybody else that's not on the wheel a question about like who would you trust with your life in this house, who do you think is the most two-faced, who's the biggest liar, blah blah blah, and the group that's not on the wheel has to come to a consensus and write a name on like a ticket, and then the people on the wheel have to share the name, and the amount of people that match the name that the group says, they win X amount of money. I don't know how much they win from each correct answer. It was like
$300 per person
each.
$300 per person,
yeah. So Kate's first on the wheel with Andy, a few others. I didn't write it down, but I think Kate is really the most important one here. And this is one of the challenges where I feel like finally we can kind of like fast forward through a little bit. Not a ton happened here outside of some of the Michael stuff, some of the Ryan stuff and Cody stuff, and Kate saying everybody thinking Kate told them the most lies in the house.
I think for me, the things that stood out of this challenge again were against Suri. We're getting a lot of like strategy from Suri.
Yes.
So, in this challenge, we get 2 moments of Suri bringing up some good points. First of all, Suri brought up Andy, and Suri was saying, okay, everyone loves Andy, so I'm going to get close to Andy, because if me and Andy are good, that gives me another ally, which I think is a great idea. Yep. And then again, you also get the moment with Suri when Cody and Ryan are acting like best buddies, and Suri's like, that's a little suspect, and we see later on in the episode that comes up. So we definitely, that's probably the only things that came out to me from this challenge were like more Suri strategizing, which I think was great, because I love to see her strategize and again, like I don't know her from Survivor, but I'm starting to see why people are big Cirie fans.
Yeah.
And I will probably go back and watch her first season and whatever other season she's on because I'm really liking her gameplay.
Yeah, she's great. She's really great. Yes, I got so excited when she started saying about Cody. I was like, oh, please, Cirie, like turn on this man, turn on both of these men, and just like recruit someone else along with you, and just like take the whole thing home, because I just feel like she's just like a totally different caliber than the two of these guys, and like clock the good old boys club. This is exactly what Cody Calafiore does. He just gets in with the bros and like clock it, because he thinks he can run the whole show, and I don't think he realizes what he's in for with Cirie as a traitor. Like, she's not going to let him get away with that, and I love that she's already thinking about it. And I did write down the note about Andy as well. Like, it does seem like here we find out that Andy does seem not like power in the house, but does seem to be in a really good position from a relationship perspective. And then we, you know, one of the questions is who has told the most lies in the house, and unanimously everybody says Kate. So Kari, to your point earlier, I think this also goes to show that like Kate probably really is on the outs, because Kate hasn't told one lie, and she even kind of says that. She's like, I haven't told a lie at all. Like, I haven't lied once.
She's been brutally honest.
Yes, and people are just uncomfortable with her honesty, but she's not lying. There's nothing that she has lied about at all.
They disagree with her opinions, but just because you disagree with her opinions doesn't mean they're lies. Like, right. It just means you disagree with something she's saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do have a question. I guess I'll save it for later. It'll probably come up within this little challenge talk, maybe on the second wheel. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's going to derail conversation, so I don't know if you're ready for this.
Oh, okay. Now I really want to know.
I know. I want to know too. Well, let's really quickly talk about Michael, and then let's talk about it. So, yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to talk about with Michael here, but Michael basically on the second wheel, there were a lot of shady questions, and Michael was a pretty good sport and answered himself for every question, and everybody was pretty much just like, yeah, Michael's a liar, Michael's two-faced, Michael this, Michael that. And that's pretty much it. You know, I think the one thing, Javier, that you had mentioned about Cody and Ryan, and it seemed like Kyle as well was in on it. They said that they would trust Ryan with their lives over Amanda, who's an ER nurse, which was just completely wild to me. Like, what would Ryan Lochte do to save your life?
Swim?
Yeah, like, so, yeah. If
you're stage a robbery?
Yeah, stage a robbery. Yeah, be problematic. I don't know. But Kari, what's your question?
Speaking of Ryan, Cody, Ryan, and Christian, fuck, marry, kill.
Oh, God. We'll kill Christian no matter what. I mean, that's the clear answer. I just don't know the other sequence.
I'm killing Ryan. Ryan is just...
You're killing Ryan over Christian?
Listen, over fucking...
That's what you would have to do a lot, Javier, is you'd have to listen, because Christian doesn't stop fucking talking.
Yeah. Right. No, Christian's dead for me. That's like, not even think about it.
He would talk through the whole act.
Yeah, about his van. You would have to like be in his van. That's where the fucking would
Ryan
take place.
Is just so dumb.
Never have I ever fucked in a van. Well, you guys picked fuck Christian, so you fucked in a van.
I did not pick fuck Christian. I'm trying to think, would I rather be married to a man who staged a robbery who feels like he can't string two sentences together, or would I rather be married to anti-vaxxer Cody Calafiore and have Paulie Calafiore as my brother-in-law? Hard to say.
Concretely, my answer is marry Lochte, because, like, first of all, what's the thing when you like don't have to testify against your spouse in court? So like, I don't gotta be worried about his crimes.
Okay, that's true.
Like,
that's true.
Go live your life. Just don't bring me into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll Erica Jane my way out of this shit, and then I would have a one night fling with Cody, and I would kill Christian just because that man talks too much.
Actually,
I think my answer is probably the same as yours.
I think my answer is the same as yours, Kari, now that I think about it. But the Ryan part is because he has the most money. Ryan is the richest, so definitely marrying
Yes.
Ryan. And now that I think about it, he's the one to marry. He doesn't know what to do with his money. I got you. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry,
No,
we'll
we can figure it out. Yeah, we can figure it out what to do with it.
I feel like he would just be happy kind of like floating around like, oh, you're gone for 2
Exactly.
weeks. Like, that's fine. Go live your life, you know?
Yeah.
Where,
Oh, you bought a ticket to Bali? Oh, have fun.
yeah,
like,
like
have a good
Cody's
time.
at home podcasting and then Paulie's coming over and Cara Maria's coming. It's like, I do not
I'm not
sign
doing
up
all
for
that.
this.
Yeah, no, that's
No.
enough for me to say no. Plus, like, he's a COVID denier. So, like, I'm good. I'm good on that.
Wait, he's anti-vax, but is also on the show? So Corey Wayton could have come on this.
Well, okay. So I don't know if he specifically, but I know Paulie is like has been on his Twitch stream. Maybe I don't think it was his podcast, but his Twitch stream, and they were like openly very much talking about vaccinations. But I don't know if Cody explicitly stated. But on Big Brother on the feeds, he was like, when at the height of COVID, by the way, not pre-vaccine, it was like it's just a cold when like everybody in the world was dying from it. So like yeah. So, Valencia's asking if Ari has money, and Ari does have money. He is the son of a pretty successful race car driver. And he's also a race car driver. Yeah, right? And he does real estate. But he definitely has money for sure. His house is beautiful. I like followed him on Instagram for a little while just because I watched his season of The Bachelor and I wanted to keep up. But not a fan. I'm not a fan. But yeah, I think of all the men in the house, I would probably go for Ari or Kyle. If I had to choose any of these men in this house, it would be Ari or Kyle, I think. If I had my pick.
Do you mean of the celebrities?
Of the celebrities. I don't know the rest of the guys enough to say one way or another.
Got it. All right. Well, that was my my question for you all. It was a good question. How my brain got there, but it did.
I'm glad you asked
to get it out.
But 1,000% we're killing Christian.
Yeah, I
didn't even need to think about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, I'm gonna be honest. I thought about it, but you guys are right, and it's true. He needs to be the one to go.
I was lobbying for the other traitors to kill him to his face just last night. So
it's not shocking. Exactly. It's not shocking.
Just push him down the thing in the middle of the turret and just be done
I want Suri to write Christian in those big ass letters
in the huge
in front of her face or in front of his face to be like, no, I killed you. I just sealed it with this wax stamp. Like, sorry, you gotta go.
Sorry, you're dead.
Hey, Alan, come deliver the message. We're ready.
Yeah. I'm more than ready. Anything else about the mission to talk about? This is one of the more boring missions to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it like has value because it can cause some chaos in a way.
Yeah.
I don't think it did because the answers based off of who was on the wheel. Like it would have been good if they had Kate and Michael on the wheel together.
Yes, on the same wheel.
Yeah.
Yes.
But otherwise, it also just gave us some of that insight that's important for later on where we see Cody and Ryan really like growing up together. But
yes.
Yeah. If it has the right setup, it could have been better, but because we got Kate and Michael on separate wheels, it's just like, all right, of course, these are the two people you guys are giving all your negative answers to.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
ahead.
The only other thing I want to say, I think this challenge would be better if it were anonymous, because then everyone could say what they actually feel and then just announce it. Like everyone has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in front of them, and you press like the button or something to like. Because then you really share your real thoughts. You know, here you're not really sharing your real thoughts because you're going to go with the, you know, everyone thinks Michael's shady. Everyone thinks Kate is, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. You should watch The Circle. They love Anonymous.
Yes. Oh, I love The Circle. I used to at least.
You know, I have to say about The Circle, this season has not been as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to say it's great, but it's one of the better U.S. seasons in my opinion.
With Brett?
I'm just going to say. Yeah.
He isn't doing that bad because he's with Xanthi.
Yeah,
and
they complement each other.
Yeah, I think that
it's fine.
They're not doing a bad job of playing their role.
Yeah,
okay. It could be worse. Mm-hmm. And they're not trying to sleep with each other, which is nice. Like there was a UK season where the people got paired and had to play as a catfish, and like they ended up dating for 3 months. So you were also
they dated after the show.
Yeah.
Wait, which two did that?
It was. I remember that. It was like season 2.
Season 2.
it was like this very pretty brunette woman and
They were
whatever
both
guy
attractive.
was in there.
Yeah, they were like an attractive two people.
Yeah, it was two attractive people, and
Yeah.
they dated for a bit after.
It seems like,
season.
not to derail too much into Circle, but it seems like Brett can barely stand being in the same room with Xanthi, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I think it's because Xanthi does everything. Like when
she
has
just
Brett
screams.
ever sent a message?
Yes. Well, yeah, I feel like we're derailing, but yes, I agree with you. 100%. I agree with you.
One last thing is, like, especially for you and I, Katie. Javier, how old are you?
27.
Okay, so this might be a little bit like, you might be a little too young, but Katie, do you remember like going to friends' houses and you'd like go on AOL together, and it's like, okay, can I type? And like,
Yes.
That's what's going on there, is that
Yes.
Xanthi always has a keyboard. She never lets her friend type. That's what it makes me think of every time we're in their room. I'm like, Xanthi, just let him ask someone ASL. Let him ask questions. So sorry.
Not
That's
a
what
what a TBT.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm down to talk to Circle anytime off stream because I have thoughts, but okay. After the mission, I think we really see how close Rachel and Michael are for some reason. Like, I don't know why it seems like they're close, but we do see Rachel in the car with him saying like, are you a traitor? Because everybody just is putting Michael down as the answer for a lot of these questions. And then they're walking in the house together and he's like, I'm not a traitor. She's like, I don't think you are a traitor. And it just seems like she has Michael's back pretty hard for some reason. Most importantly, we see them eating a catered lunch of Chinese food, which I'm curious, like, how do you guys think the Chinese food in Scotland is? Because it feels like it's probably not good to me.
If it had been Indian food, I would believe that it would be good.
I agree.
But Chinese food, I don't know. The Brits love a Chinese takeaway, so I just don't think it's like as good. I would, if it had been Indian food, I'd have more confidence in it.
Okay.
Some of the best curry I've ever had, was in Birmingham, England, and so I have more faith in that. I don't know if I've ever had Chinese food when I've been over to the UK. So that's my insight.
Okay.
Probably fine. Not great.
Yeah. Mid-tier.
But it's also like hard to really fuck up Chinese food. Like you have to, like, there is a big range of okay for Chinese food. Like,
Yeah.
you really have to work hard to be bad at it.
I just feel like being in New York, and Javier, maybe you agree. I feel like we have like the best Chinese food in New York. So it's like everything else tastes like PF Chang's to me if I eat Chinese food in like another place. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer like, because we have Chinatown here as well. And like even when I lived in Boston, the Chinese food out of Chinatown just exponentially better than surrounding places. So, but I still feel like it's kind of like pizza in a way where like, even if pizza is bad, it's hard to, again, I know you New Yorkers have you like, oh, we have the best pizza. First of all, go to New England, Connecticut. Second of all, like it's still just like dough, sauce, and cheese at the end of the day. I just feel like it has to be super bad to be bad. Even like not great pizza, it's still like, eh. No, it's okay. I can't talk to two New Yorkers about this because you guys are elitist as fuck about your pizza, and it's not even the best pizza in the country. Go to New Haven, get on a train, go to New Haven, and get pizza from there. New Haven pizza is better than New York pizza.
Maybe.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Anyway. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to see what you guys thought about the Chinese food. It seemed that they were like, oh, Chinese food. They were so psyched. But as they're eating in that room, glances in the chat saying this is embarrassing for you.
It's just because New Yorkers and their pizza, like you guys think, just like get some culture about your pizza. Just take the Amtrak 45 minutes away to New Haven and you will find better pizza.
All right, now you're dragging it.
I'm just letting you know. Have you had New Haven pizza?
No, I said.
Okay, and as someone who's had both,
yes, we did both say maybe.
I said maybe. I'm not arguing.
And I'm telling you, definitely, I've had both.
Okay, we are uncultured, Javier, about our pizza apparently.
Back to the Traitors.
Back to Traitors. Javier, when we meet in the turret tonight, where Kari's getting murdered. So Kyle basically susses out Suri and is like, there has to be a strong woman, a strong female traitor. And Stephanie is kind of the one that is like reality woman, which I thought was like a weird, like reality woman. It just sounded like I don't know. Isn't there someone with like a celebrity child with the name like reality winner or something like that? Reality something. Or was that like I don't know, someone maybe that went to jail for something, whatever. I'm diverging way too far here. Yeah.
Same difference.
Yeah. But then Stephanie's like, well, this is when she says, like, I've had a day one alliance with Suri and I love Suri to death. And like, I trust her 1,000%. And like, I'm telling Suri. So she tells Suri in front of Kyle and Ryan. Suri doesn't really have a reaction, which I think is great. She played it off really well. But Kyle is like, right on.
Yep.
Valencia backs me up. There is a woman with that name, reality winner. I don't know where she came from. But I know there's a name. What did you guys think about this? Were you impressed with Kyle kind of being like, no, there has to be a strong female and like it's probably one of you guys basically? Like, what's the deal with Suri?
I mean, yeah, again, like I was very impressed with Kyle, but part of me is also like, how did he suss this out? Because I guess maybe he's super perceptive, but I don't know how Kyle can suss out that for some reason one of the three traitors has to be one of the strong women from reality TV. I don't know how he got that. I wish we would have gotten like a diary room of him saying, oh, this is why I think that. Like, I do wish I got that, but I mean, good for him for getting it. Like, another plus for Kyle because he's been like very intuitive. So maybe he just has that intuition. I don't know.
I don't think it's like that hard to get to that conclusion because if they're telling them it's 3 to 5 traitors, my guess is if it's a minimum of 3, but we're going for 4, that you're likely having 1 male, 1 female civilian, 1 male, 1 female celebrity. You know what I mean? So like, okay, who is the strong woman celebrity? Well, Kate is off on her own, and then you're left with those 3. Like, I don't know. I think like having that extra divider in having like the civilians and the celebrities is, it almost makes it a little bit easier to kind of narrow down to that.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. And this is kind of like what I was worried about with Suri is that because she is so good at things like this, that people would just assume that they would want to make her a traitor because she's so good. So I feel like just picking Suri is not a bad strategy because there's a pretty good chance that if Suri's on the show, they're making her a traitor, which they did because we didn't see, again, what led them to choose these 3 as their traitors. So, I mean, like if I were on the show, and I don't know Kyle's experience with watching like Survivor Big Brother and really having any clue if he knows who Suri is. I know who Suri is, and I would be like, this would be a huge disservice if they didn't make Suri a traitor. And like, I probably would have been the same as Brandy, maybe of just saying like, I'm not going to worry about it right now, but like, it's in the back of my mind that Suri is a traitor for sure. So I think it's kind of like an easy conclusion to make, or if it's Stephanie or Rachel or Suri, I think I was convinced one of the 2 of them would have been a traitor coming into the show.
True, I would have thought that too. Especially the way if I knew Rachel and the way she's playing, to me that would have been the most sus. Like if Cody weren't a traitor, I know Cody would be going for Rachel automatically.
Oh
Cody
yeah, totally.
Like, Rachel, what are you doing? Like, why are you playing like this? So I
being so
would have
quiet.
seen Rachel, super quiet, super different gameplay from her. So
yes, even very different than the way she played in Snake in the Grass. Like she was a little over the top in Snake in the Grass as well, which is sort of a similar game but very different. But they're still trying to figure out like who the snake is out of the 4. So I thought that was interesting. So yeah, that's really what I was worried about with, and we talked about it already, but with what Stephanie had said about Suri having an alliance since day 1. We also get this really interesting conversation, at least I thought it was interesting, with Kyle and Michael, where Michael just becomes even more unhinged and just starts throwing out Quentin's name now. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? And Kyle is literally like, this guy just like stood up for you hardcore last night and like is basically the reason that Brandy is gone. Like the reason you are safe is because Quentin threw suspicion on Kate and then Brandy stuck up for Kate and came for you and now Brandy's gone. Like there's no way that it's Quentin. And Michael's just like, yeah, I don't know. I could think it's anybody. It doesn't. Yeah, I know he stood up for me, but like, could it be anybody?
Was anybody else kind of uncomfy with that when he was like,
yes, I wrote that down.
Because
he's well-spoken.
So well-spoken. I'm like, okay, keep up the microaggressions, Kentucky. Like, wow, keep surprising us. Where's the Confederate flag while you're at it?
Yes.
Yeah, and then like for him to say it to Quinn's face and Quinn not say anything, I was kind of surprised because like we saw in Quinn's bio how he's like very heavily involved in not just politics, but like black, I don't want to say like black based because that doesn't really make sense, but like in networks specifically for black people, like he clearly is someone who is like a proud black man. And then for, you know, like Buddy off the farm to come in and use these microaggressions at him in front of however many people at this circular table, I was just like, is anyone going to say anything? And it shouldn't even be Quinn's responsibility to say something here, but is anybody going to acknowledge this, or are we just going to let this go and let him like bury himself in his own grave here? But I was like, oh, stop it. Like, stop it right now.
Yeah, I wrote it in my notes. He said it, I think, multiple times in like different ways too. I don't remember if he said like eloquent or articulate or something, but he said words like that to start, and then he said he's just so well spoken and he's so smart. Like it's a surprise that he would be. I agree with you. I read it exactly the same way that you did. I was like, okay, Michael's like extremely like microaggressing here against Quentin, and it's like very questionable. A lot of the things that he was saying. Yes, Valencia. I also hate when Michael starts talking. Completely agree.
Yes.
I would have liked to see the fact that we saw people go like, oh, come on, Brandy. And then we didn't see anybody be like, dude, like, you got to chill. Like, I don't know. A little questionable.
Yes.
And it shouldn't have to be Quentin to say it. It should have been anybody at that table.
Correct. I know I said it right, but I'll agree with it again. Like,
yeah.
Man. Ugh.
Yeah, we can bin. Put Michael in the bin.
They did.
He's gone. He's beyond the bin. Thank God.
Yeah, the bin is out. The dumpster is out. It's getting dumped into the back of a truck, getting driven away. So, anything else to say about that? I mean, just even aside from the microaggressions, this is just such a wild take to me that I'm just like, okay, we got to get this guy out of it. Like, this can't continue. And the fact that, like, it still always comes back to Kate when this is the way the guy is conducting himself is just so unbelievable to me. I just don't know what a lot of these people are thinking. But I thank God people seem to listen to Kyle because he's a white man and they don't want to listen to Kate when she says, she's basically saying the exact same things as Kyle. Rough.
Do you know who Kyle kind of is? Is it Chet from Real World? Except he doesn't seem as like right wing crazy.
Super problematic. Problematic.
No.
Yeah. But I don't think Kyle is that at all. Yeah.
No, I don't mean it that way. I mean his face and his glasses.
He did kind of give that off a little bit visually.
Yeah, his look, his style is. I was like, oh, I've seen this look and style before, but I am in no way relating their personalities. It's their faces.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I don't think Kyle is like, I think he's like decent in that regard. Like, everybody has their shit, but I don't think he's like outwardly problematic like that.
I'm not making any connections to personalities. It's all looks. They look like they could.
I can see it. Brothers or something, cousins.
Yeah.
So we go to banishment. The note comes up. And Kate is just like, yeah, I wrote this note. She's very even. She doesn't freak out. She's just very like, she explains herself. We got together and we were weighing our options on who we thought could be murdered. And then Stephanie's just like, I think you're causing drama and I think whatever. And Quentin again is kind of like piling on Kate and is like, you're masterful in convincing people. And I'm like, are these people like watching what's going on around them? Because like Kate is clearly on the outs and she's not convincing anyone of anything because Michael's still here. So, and Rachel at one point like calls her a puppet master and that she's a manipulator. And I'm like, how is this possible? Because all of you hate her, first of all, and like you barely listen to her and you're only listening to her because Kyle was backing up the Michael decision this week.
The only person she had influence over was banished 24 hours prior.
Exactly. And I don't even know that she had influence over Brandy. I actually think Brandy was the one that was really driving the situation, but Kate had the specific experiences with Michael where he was shady. I mean, like we're letting that go, that Michael Michael's behavior caused all of this. It wasn't Kate or Brandy, which is just, people seem to not care about that for some reason.
Yeah.
But Kyle does say that they're focusing on the wrong things. And he says, you know, like, if we vote out Kate, it's just going to be just doing the same thing 2 days in a row. Like, we got out Brandy, then we're going to get out Kate. It's going to be the same thing. And he throws Michael under the bus and is like, just before this, you know, you said Quentin. Because Michael was like, thank you, Quentin. I appreciate you so much for having my back. And Kyle's like, whoa. Hold on a second. Literally 2 minutes ago, you were just saying, like, he's a traitor and we should get him out.
Yeah. He's like, I'm eternally grateful that you stood up for me, Quentin. Like, why are you being so extra after literally what you just said? So I was very happy when Kyle, like, was like, bro, you literally, not even 10 minutes ago, you said you thought he was a traitor. So what's going on here? And it was funny to see Michael go like, he was like, but like he did like,
yes,
that little,
and
like,
he lied. He was like, no, I said I did think you were the traitor. And Kyle's like, no, there was no you did think. It was like, you think right now. This is what you think. And Michael's just like explosive. I feel like in this moment where he's just like, let me finish. And he's just like scream. It's just crazy. Like, no one thinks it's a problem when Michael's talking to people this way, but Kate just very dryly says like, it's Michael and I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm not a traitor. Everyone's like, whoa, fuck Kate.
Women are so emotional. They can't do important things. They're too emotional when it's Michael breaking down at the table and it's Christian crying after the things, after the banishments. But no, it's women that are emotional.
The guy is a mess. He's a mess.
Yeah, I feel like I agree. Like, I think Kyle said it when he voted for Michael. He's like, I actually don't even think you're the... I agree. I wouldn't think Michael's a traitor either, but like, I would have to send him home because he's just he's annoying me. He's doing way too much. And like, we need to move on from this saga. So I would also vote out Michael, regardless of the fact that I don't think he's a traitor. Like, I can't deal with Michael in this game anymore. So
yeah, it's time to move on, figure it out once and for all. Is he a traitor? Is he not? And then move on from there. Like, it just doesn't make sense to keep him around at this point, especially with the way that he acts. Like, it's just not conducive to, it's just always going to work in favor of the traitors because Michael is always going to be such a focus. So like, and Suri knows that too. That's why she wants to keep him. So like, he's got to go. He's just got to go. Something I did note here is that at this roundtable, Cody's getting very squirmy and he's losing it. He's very quickly losing it. And I guess this is what happens when you actually have to do something in a game. I don't know. He wouldn't know, I guess. This is the first time he's figuring it out. Yeah,
like he has the DR where he's like, oh, I can't believe Michael was just over there saying how he wants to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had like a Cody DR of him. Like, I just can't believe this guy was really, and he's not even a, like, bro, like, come on. You knew he wasn't a traitor, first of all. So like, what are you getting so emotional about, you know?
Right. He's like, I just feel so bad because I knew the whole time he was a faithful. And now he's so upset. It's like, yeah, this is the game. This is the game you're playing.
Yeah, whenever these moments happen, I don't know. Did you watch Big Brother Canada 9?
Yes.
I always remember, oh my gosh, Spicy V. There's a great clip of Spicy V yelling at, I forget who it was to, but to Tara, I think it was. She goes, you signed up for this.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel whenever I see people like cry or get emotional. I'm like, bro, you signed up for this. Like, relax and just play the game. Yeah. So that's how I always feel when people do these moments.
I especially completely agree.
Being a traitor, because it's not like Alan Cummings went into that table and or that room in episode 1 and picked himself. Like, clearly there's conversations that happened prior with the whole cast. Would you want to be a traitor? Or how would you handle being a traitor? And all, like, it's not just a random pick, like you're playing Mafia with 10 of your friends, you know, like, so for especially someone like Cody right now to be collapsing under the pressure of it, I just don't really have much sympathy. You signed up for this.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Also, Cody, you played Big Brother twice. Like, you knew those people in the house for way longer than you know these people. Like, why is this hitting you so hard? It doesn't, like, you didn't care then.
Yeah.
It's weird. But Michael ultimately is gone. Kate does get a few votes, but Michael is the one that goes, and Stephanie votes for Michael. But she does kind of like, I feel like they're all very shady to Kate, and they're like, we're going to do a lot of finger pointing if Michael's not. And Kate's like, you all voted for him. Like, I didn't, I just said his name. Like, you guys are the ones that voted. Like, you didn't have to vote this way. It's just, it's crazy. But Michael leaves. He has a very theatrical exit.
I would say that was the one.
Are these people? Sorry, go ahead, Javier.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say this is the one time I like Michael.
Yeah,
it's like you guys were right. Everyone's like, yes. He goes, I'm a faithful. And everyone's like, no. Like, that was the one time I was like, good job, Michael, because I was cracking up. I was like, that's a great moment.
Yeah.
Because people really got so eager. It was so good.
Yeah. The preemptive celebrating.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? That's embarrassing. It's like the guy who will like start walking down to first base when they think it's ball 4 and the umpire's like, nah, dog, that was a strike, come back, and like rings him up just because he did that. Like, that's how I felt about the people at the round table celebrating.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for them. And then Rachel pops off on Kate again, and it's like, you manipulated the whole situation. And I'm just like, this is just like truly crazy. And then
I don't like Stephanie or Rachel. They are not enjoyable to watch. Rachel's a little bit better than Stephanie, but like, I'm not enjoying either of them.
I'm not either at this point. I'm not either. They're definitely, I'm rooting against them right now for sure. It just doesn't, it seems like it's a personal thing against Kate for whatever reason. And it's not like, all right, well, at least now we know, like now we can move forward. No, it's like, we're pointing fingers at you and whatever. And Kate's right. Like, you all voted. Like, and Kate even said, like, I'm surprised too. Like, I thought he was a traitor. Like, I'm surprised too, just as surprised as you guys are. So yeah, it's rough for our girl. She's having a rough time.
Yeah, I think the only way Rachel can start becoming redeeming to me is if she starts pushing for Cody, if she's had this read since day one, like she says she has. But Stephanie to me is just not playing a good game at all. She just seems to be like, this undying loyalty story is not getting you anywhere.
Yeah, and the gameplay from both of them is not good.
Yeah, the target on Kate, like, let it go.
Yeah. And like, as much as I don't want Kate to go, banish her then. And then move on. Like, because I'm tired of this discourse back and forth. Kyle starts to get a little suspicion before we go to the murder segment. Quentin starts rallying the troops now against Kyle and is like, well, Kyle speaks up and speaks like very much like, okay, team, like he's like rallying the troops, and he does a good job of deflecting people off of, or changing the subject really. So everyone's like, did he deflect off of Kate? And Quentin's like, yeah. And I'm like, weren't you all there? Like, you were all sitting there. Weren't you? Did you not see him deflect off of Kate? I don't know. But Quentin's like, if I get murdered tonight, I'm convinced that Kate and Kyle are the traitors, and I haven't figured out the third one yet. And I'm like, actually, sir, you haven't figured out any of them yet, because none of them are traitors. But it's always like a womp womp moment to me when these people are just so convinced and they're just like completely off base.
It's just, again, like, I'm not just Team Kyle because he's on my draft, but I really feel like Kyle in the discussions has been like I feel like he's been pretty level-headed. He's been like trying to mediate. He's been trying to give different viewpoints. And I don't know why people see that as a threat. It's just like, because that's basically what Quentin did with Kate, because Quentin was the first one to really bring up Kate's name. So Kyle was just trying to like understand the situation. So I don't see why Quentin is now so gung-ho about Kyle. It's just, unfortunately, I hope this might be Kyle's downfall, which I actually think if Kyle goes home, it's bad for Quentin because they're going to realize that Kyle was not a traitor. But I don't know. I hope that somehow Kyle can maneuver his way out of this, because I hope this is not the way he goes out over Quentin, just with no real good reason, except, again, someone who speaks up is going to get targeted. It's just like, I think they're setting a bad precedent for the rest of the game. So,
yeah, I agree with you, especially because Kyle, if you're a traitor and people aren't looking at you as a traitor yet, why would you then sit at a table and say, well, you threw Quentin under the bus? And but like, he just had your back by saying like, oh, this guy actually was like, I defended you because you stood up. So like, clearly it just didn't really make much sense to me how Quentin landed on that, because he just has sights for Kate. So he's like, oh, well, Kyle deflected off Kate, so then Kyle must also be a traitor. Yeah. Anything else before we get to the cliffhanger of the murder portion? Because this was by far my favorite part of the episode.
Yes.
I was like, I was amped up during
I
this
was
episode.
ready to go to episode 5. Like I was
Yes.
like, I can't stop, but I have to
Yes.
until after the podcast.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. Christian comes in looking like the fucking Joker, taking off his hood, and he's like, yeah, fucking murder. This is fucking awesome. And Cody's like, I actually completely disagree with you. I'm miserable, and this is killing me slowly from the inside out. Like, Cody is just like out. Like, he's just done. He's emotionally spent, which again is strange. And we get a confessional of Cody saying, you know, like, Christian is acting like he's struggling because he feels like that's how he should be acting. But like, is he actually? Like, I'm struggling. The breakfasts are hard. This is all really hard for me. I really built relationships with these people. But like, Christian's just basically pretending to act like this because he feels like that's how he should act.
Yeah, I know we don't like Christian, and I still don't like Christian, but I will say I am a little bit liking. I feel like he's really going, like, being the villain. Like, he's being the, like, I'm gonna act all sad and woo 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 and all extra, but like, I do like that he's like, compared to Cody. I don't like when people play the game like that. Like, you're a traitor. You signed up for this. Like, you just did this. I like when people like own it. And unfortunately, like, I don't like Christian. I still think he's annoying, but I do like that aspect of it, that at least he's like, oh, this is like, he's like a little kid almost. He's like, oh my God, I'm playing with these two like reality TV stars and we're murdering people. Like, he's like having fun with it, which I enjoy more than Cody's like womp womp attitude about being a traitor.
Oh my gosh, it's the second time you guys could have done this.
I don't know how to do that. You have to teach me how to do it.
I don't have access to this soundboard.
I don't know how to do it.
I was trying to get back to it when you're just talking about Quentin, and you were like, it's just a womp womp noise for him. And I was like trying to come back to be like, hey, what was that noise? But then when Javier just did that, I had to. But anyway.
I'm glad, but yeah, those are my thoughts on this, at least Kyle and Christian part. I mean, Christian and Cody part of it.
Yeah, I think that people don't really have issues with villains when villains own their actions. It's when someone on these shows like Cody comes in and is like, I feel awful and oh my God. And it's like, okay, but like, you are still completing these actions. If not, like, I don't know, lobby to be banished then. Right. Let's get someone else up in this tower. Who's going to do the job, because you do not see Suri. You do not see Christian sitting here being like, oh, this is awful. I can't believe I'm struggling. I couldn't eat my English muffin this morning. Like, stop. Just stop. Like, this is your role. Own it, because you're not gaining any sympathy from the two people who have to do the same thing as you do.
Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The woe's me attitude.
I haven't brought this up and I've been meaning to, and this might be a good place because in speaking of like owning what you have to do, the way Suri sits in her confessionals, where I feel like everybody is kind of like sat upright and Suri is like leaning back in that big chair, like,
she is everything.
Just like
the spot.
Let me tell you about all the shit I'm doing today.
She's like the godfather of the whole thing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Her body language in her confessionals is A+.
Yeah. I agree.
She's a star. And even more so here. I mean, she flexes at the perfect time. They start talking about the murder. Cody's just like bumming out. Christian is just like being a weirdo. And they start talking about Kyle. And they're like, you know, we got to get rid of the boys and blah, 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 whatever. And Suri is like, because she tells them what Kyle said. Like, Kyle said that one of the reality women is probably a traitor. And he's starting to look at me like, I think maybe, you know, we should start thinking about them. And then she flips the script a little bit. And she's like, but what about Ryan? Because clearly you have a relationship with Ryan outside of this game. And Cody is like, whoa. And as a Big Brother watcher, Javier, I feel like we've seen Cody in this position before where he can't help himself from getting super defensive and like hot. And Isaiah actually said this in the draft as well, is that he just has a pretty bad temper. Like, he can't like keep it together when he's angry. And he clearly was getting very irritated with Suri at this point, because he was like, well, you're not just asking a question, you're accusing me. And I've never met this man outside of my, which I don't know. I don't know if they know each other or not. I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised though if they do.
Yeah, I agree. Like this is how Cody reacts. I remember like in BB All Stars, I think he had this moment with like Davon or Bailey.
Yes.
He had the same, probably with both of them, honestly, because he was like one of the main reasons they both went home.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cody is only good at confrontation when he's confronting you. But the moment you bring up anything to Cody that even remotely goes against his plan,
Yep.
he does not know how to like really manage the situation. And we saw it here. Like, he obviously wants probably Ryan to stay as long as possible, but the moment you confront him about something, he just gets super frazzled and he just loses it. He's just not good at being confronted.
Yes. I think it was Kevin actually that came at him in Big Brother
Oh,
All Stars,
really?
and he could not keep it together when Kevin came for him. But yeah, Cody, the cracks are showing all over Cody, and I feel like with this traitor group, we're going to start to see things splinter off a little bit. I don't think that they're going to continue to work cohesively together. I don't know if you guys agree.
Oh, I hope so. I want it to splinter. As long as Suri, and I say this objectively, not from the viewpoint that she is my last remaining player on my draft team. I say this objectively that the longer she's in the game as a traitor, the better. But otherwise, I do think that the time after a traitor gets caught is just a fun time within the show. There's this change in spirit, a change in energy, and I'm looking forward to it happening. And the fact that it could be Cody or Christian, hopefully, just makes it even better in this instance.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm usually rooting for the traitors, and the US's traitors make it a little bit more difficult to do so. But I want to see a little bit of mayhem. Let one get caught. Let's see what happens. Are we going to recruit someone? Will that someone say yes to being recruited? And just give us things need to be shaken up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the hostility between Kate and everyone essentially is getting old, except from Kate's side. Like Kate keeps giving us all these confessionals. Like, I'm sick of what is currently happening. Throw Cody to the wolves. Throw Christian to the wolves. I don't care which one. Both of them. It's fine. But I hope it splinters. Splinter away.
Yes.
I have two thoughts on this. First thought is like I fully agree. This is kind of what I wanted to get into. Like as I finish episode 4, since like I really just don't feel like the faithfuls are playing a good game. So I feel like for me, I don't know if this has happened in the UK or Australian version, but that would be great television to see the traitors go against each other. And I feel like that can be a big moment of strategy because I feel like Siri is very strategic. I do feel like Cody's been playing a pretty strategic game as well. So like to see those two strategic minds who are on the same team go at it, what I think make great TV. And I hope Siri comes out on top because I'm done with the cauliflower. But I do wish that is the drama that we get and we get that storyline because I think that would be a really good storyline of like a Siri versus a Cody.
Me too. I hope Christian gets caught somehow. This is what I'm hoping for. And then I hope we see a power struggle between Suri and Cody because I think that Suri is going to come out on top 100% of the time. Like, I think Cody thinks he's a match for Suri, but we could see in this discussion that especially I feel like when a woman comes for Cody, he can't handle it. And she will not waver. Like she's not going to deal with this fucking dude. Especially when Christian is like, all right, let's not get emotional. She's like, no, I'm talking to him because he's amped up right now. And like, I was like, yes, tell Christian to stop. Like, do not interrupt you. Like, this is what we're doing. And she's like, it's time for me to take over. And then I was like, yes, Suri has arrived. She's here. And she's like ready to steal the show from these two like losers. They're just like, ugh.
I will say I do think taking out Kyle would not be a good move for Suri after that conversation that they had with because I feel like if I were Stephanie and Ryan, well, it's Ryan, but either way, whoever was in that room who had that
Rachel was there too.
Yeah, I think if now Kyle dies, I think if to me that would put me like really on high alert for Suri. Like, we've mentioned one of the three, and then Kyle dies because he brought it up. So I hope that Siri listens to me, and when I start episode 5, Kyle is still alive. Yeah, because I want to see more of Kyle, and I actually don't think it's a good move for Siri to get Kyle out now.
I don't think so either. I actually think just like leave it as is and just get rid of like another random person, like get rid of Angelica or something. Like that's gonna just cause like who would have gotten rid of Angelica? Nobody really knows. Her only other allies like here, it maybe people would think Kyle, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. I'm interested to see who goes home next, but I loved this. This got me like hyped. I was like,
And
oh, okay, we're ready. Like we're doing this.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts on these 2 episodes?
Yeah, I'm still firmly in the camp that Peacock and NBC, I'm frustrated with them because they didn't trust their audience enough to appreciate what the Traitors is as a game to give us 20 random people and not 10 celebrities. And again, I say celebrities loosely. It is definitely altering gameplay in ways that it didn't for the other 2 series I've watched, and I don't like that. So nothing has made me change my opinion on that, and I was hoping it would. I think what might is if we do get a little bit of a civil war within the Traitors between Suri and Cody, that could help the cause. But right now, I'm still wishing that we had 20 new people. I was texting Isaiah this morning, and he was like, "I hope if there's season 2, like I hope it's 20 new people." And
oh, good.
I was hoping that for season 1.
Yeah, I'm actually glad and almost surprised that Isaiah feels that way, because I know on the draft he was saying that he was tuning in for these people. I have a friend from the UK who I discussed the Traitors with, and he started watching I think last night, and he said something similar along the lines of like, oh, this is really different in terms of gameplay. I'm just like scrolling to see if I could find what he said really quickly, but I guess not. But he said something just along the lines of like, this is his main criticism so far is they all seem a bit more knowing of the format. So like they're all like gaming already super early on, but there's like nothing to base the gaming on, so it's all baseless. Whereas in the UK it was like relationship building, and then these people like learning the game, and then just being like, oh, what can we be? It just felt more organic and natural, and I feel like we got to learn the characters a lot more, and we got to see the way they interacted. And I think having this split group of celebrities and non-celebrities, or at least if you're gonna do celebrities, like get people that weren't on Survivor together and then Snake in the Grass together, and then who were friends in real life. Like, let's at least try and do our due diligence here.
Yeah, I think for me, I guess my final thoughts after these 4 episodes is, I'm actually excited to watch the UK version, because I want to see how people like, because for me, at this point in the game, I'm like thinking like, if I was in these people's shoes, I feel like it would also be hard to have a strategy. Like there's like not much to go off on, and in every other reality TV show, there's something to go off on. There's challenges. There's an HOH. There's a mole who's sabotaging. Like there's a reason for you to start getting like suspicious of people. And in this game, I find it kind of hard to, if I were any of the players, like even though I do keep saying the Faithfuls are playing poorly, part of me is also like, if I were in their shoes, what would I base it on other than like body language, or like it's kind of hard without having any challenge or any like power or anything to really change the game, to really see the strategy come out. But I feel like now by episode 4, like now that we've seen a few people go home and we've seen some infighting with the Traitors, I feel like now we'll be able to see more strategy, and I would have better reasoning for why people would target people. Because at the moment, I feel like no one really has a good reason except if someone speaks up. So that's kind of my qualm with the show. So that's why I'm excited to watch the UK version and see like everyone is hyping the show up. So I must be missing something. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel.
I was going to say, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that in both series I've watched before this, a traitor slips up somewhere, and that's how that first traitor gets caught. And we haven't seen that yet, but like energy picks up once a traitor gets caught. So I hope it happens soon. But I think it's like also going back to what Katie said, like there's just a different vibe to this game because there's people who already know each other. Like in the UK version, you have a couple who are playing, but they keep that hidden. And
I like that.
Yeah. So where we know that like Cody and Rachel know each other. And so, yeah, I do think that it's going to pick up once a traitor gets caught. The sooner the better. But I would say hold on. Don't give up on anything. It's just I think we have a a different experience than the people who have watched UK, watch Australia and seen those, because also Australia is like, the way Australia is edited is very different. So those two entities are separate from each other, except for like the idea of the gameplay. But US has this whole extra component that just kind of, for those of us who are like sitting here waiting for the strategy or for something to like pick up, it's difficult for it to sit here and just wait.
Yeah, I am excited, Javier, for you to watch the UK version. I think I don't know if it's the cast. I don't know if it's the editing. I don't know if it's just the chemistry that everybody had together, but just the amount of tension that was built up in that show. I've never felt so tense like watching a show to see what was going to happen. And I was so invested. I'm not feeling that way with this. Like, I'm entertained and I'm kind of like, you know, but to Kari's point, like, I was wholeheartedly rooting for the Traitors in the UK. I wanted them to win. I thought they were great. And I feel that way about Suri, but I'm rooting for Suri because she's Suri, not just because she's a traitor. Like, I have a pre-existing connection to Suri and I want her to do well. The other two, like, it's kind of a bummer to root against the Traitors because it feels like the Traitors should be the underdogs because there's only 3 of them. It's hard to, you know, conceal. Everybody's getting fingers pointed, but just the way that this game is going, it just doesn't feel like we're going to get a super satisfying turn of events, but I'm still here. I'm ready to see how it goes. I'm entertained. And we'll see where it ends up. But it definitely, UK, I think, is just a much different caliber of the show.
If you haven't watched UK or Australia, go watch them. And
yeah, I need to watch Australia after this.
The winner of Australia just, I need to be on a microphone talking about, I need to actually follow up with them and be like, has Channel 10 gone back to you? There are quite a few people on my timeline that are waiting for this conversation. But
yeah.
Both are good, and it's nice because everybody's a fresh face, not just to us, but to each other.
Yeah.
Minus the couple.
Yes. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we can start closing out. I know we said we would be a little quicker with this one, but I think we hit almost the exact same time as recording time as yesterday. Kari, where can everybody find you?
KGD26 on all of the social media. I'm not off private yet, though, so just wait a few days, maybe. I don't know how long HR takes. But anyway, yeah, just follow me. Otherwise, I'm podcasting tomorrow with Katie about the challenge, and then on Sunday with Katie about Real Housewives, and then on Monday with Katie and Javier about the Traitors. So just
and then on Tuesday.
Tuesday, and then really just I'm giving this new microphone a beating here.
It sounds great.
It's catching a lot of hot air over here. So yeah, great. I'll be on the mic quite a bit over the next few days. So just check me out on YouTube, Twitch, and all the others Katie will tell you about later.
Yeah. Well, Javier, how about you? Where can folks keep up and follow you?
Yes, so everyone, you can follow me at _ the Starboy on Twitter. I'm trying to tweet about this show as vaguely as possible. I want to tweet more like what I really feel, but I just don't want to spoil it for other people because I'd be mad too. But catch my vague tweets, mostly just positive about the people on the show. I'm not tweeting how I really feel about like the Traitors and all that stuff, but catch me there if you want to hear even more of my commentary on the show. And yeah, catch me here for the next week as we continue to go through Sign the Traitors.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at RealSimKatie if you would like to follow me there. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSimKatie with an underscore if you would like to check me out there. I'm usually around live around 3 days a week or so. I did not go live at all this week because of the amount of podcasts that were happening. So I'll tell you all about them. You can find me here on Silent Podcast on Sign the Traitors. As Kari mentioned, we'll be back on Monday. We don't have any episodes coming to you Saturday or Sunday for this show. But we're hoping to finish up the coverage of the Traitors US by Thursday of next week. So we'll be back on Monday with episodes 5 and 6. But you could find Kari and I, as she said, tomorrow talking about the challenge on TJ Hates Quitters, talking about Housewives on the Cool Water Show on Sunday. And you could find me also tomorrow talking to, it won't be live on YouTube, it'll be just a recording audio version, but Isaiah and Jason and I will be covering episodes 3 and 4 of Pressure Cooker, which is also a super fun show on Netflix. If you like cooking shows, it's been described as Top Chef meets Big Brother, so it's really fun. It's an easy watch, so definitely check that out if you're just looking for something to binge that's not the Traitors. And then on Monday, I will also be back with Isaiah and Josiane talking about Big Brother 11. So plenty going on, plenty of time to hear. Speaking of hot air, there's plenty of hot air coming out of my mouth as well into this microphone on Silent Podcast. So you can check us out there. In terms of Silent Podcasts, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. I'll flash the graphic if you guys are watching us. You can find, let me just scroll back to it. You can find us on Twitch if you would like to watch along with us, and on YouTube if you search Silent Podcasts. A lot of our podcasts are also streamed live on YouTube as they go. Not all of them, but the majority, I would say. So you can check us out there. You can follow us on Twitter at silent_podcasts if you would like to just keep up with what we're up to and see what we're covering these days. And you can like and subscribe and get all the new episodes in your podcast feed by just searching us on any podcast app that you listen to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever. And if you would be so kind, please leave us a rating. It helps us get discovered on those apps. So we really prefer 5 stars. It helps us out. If you don't have a 5-star review to leave, then just save it until you have something that you feel like is worth 5 stars, and then leave it then. Until next time.
Oh, wait.
This is, yeah. Oh,
the draft.
Yes, you're right.
No, just leave it. It's fine.
Quick
It's
update.
fine.
No, we really.
We'll do it. I
really want to see Kari's draft.
I have it here. Hold on. Okay, let's talk about the draft really, really quick before we go.
Kari, you actually might win with Siri, so we'll see.
You might. So I didn't move anybody yet. But okay, Michael has been banished. Reza was banished. Murdered. Reza was murdered first. Who else is gone? Brandy has been banished.
Besides Suri.
Yeah.
Where's Kari? Oh yeah, she's gone. Geraldine was gone first. Oops.
Azra was murdered, I think.
Yeah, Azra was murdered.
Oh, Azra was murdered. That's right.
Banished, yep.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's Dan.
Oh no, Bam. And Bam was, who has Bam?
Oh, Josh's team.
Isaiah still has all 4. That's not all right.
Isaiah and Javier both have all 4.
Javier can. Isaiah not so much.
I agree.
Yes.
We got to get a cauliflower.
Yeah, no, he's got to go. So if you're only listening to us, Josh still has Rachel Riley, Angelica, and Ari. I still have Kate and Andy. Isaiah has his full draft team of Cody, Shelby, Quentin, and Ryan Lochte. Kari, sole survivor is Suri, no pun intended. Probably the only time she's been sole survivor. The only time that she's been the sole survivor. And Javier has his whole draft team intact with Kyle, Amanda, Christian, and Stephanie. So those are the standings. That's where we're at right now.
I'm just putting it out there. If this was one of those memes where it's like, which lunch table would you rather sit at? I would pick my lunch table right now. Me and Suri just chilling, eating some chicken nuggets.
I'd probably pick mine, but or yours. I think that's where I would. Well, that's where I would land.
Yours is Kate and
Andy.
Okay. This is okay.
That's a good table.
That's a good table. That would actually give me a run for my money in choosing Suri.
Yeah. Suri. You got to take the chance to sit and have lunch with Suri if you can. But but that's where we stand.
I would not sit at my or Isaiah's table. Those 2 tables are not. I've talked to Lochte and Cauliflower, and then Christian. I'm good.
Yeah, I would unfortunately choose probably Isaiah's table over your table, just to not have to sit with Christian.
Even though he has Ryan and Cody.
I think so.
But he has Quentin and Shelby. I would say.
Fine.
Yeah, Amanda doesn't give me. She's not giving me much, unfortunately.
She's dark horse. Watch.
Girl, she preemptively celebrated a faithful not being a traitor, so she can literally sit down.
That's true. It's true.
She shouldn't have stood up. She should have literally stayed seated.
Yes, agreed. All right. So we'll end with that, and we'll keep this updated as we go on Monday after we cover episodes 5 and 6. So until then, have a great night if you're watching us live. Have a great rest of your day if you are listening to us in your podcast feed, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.